what you love. It's time to give you what you love. I'ma give you what you love. Give you what you love. I am sharper than a switchblade, first and last of what God made, and that's the truth. But man, keep on trying to hold me back while another chicken head come on cruise. Too strong, try to do me wrong, and the last one standing will order and command you to dance. Oh, dance. Well, tell your preacher and your teacher I'ma give what you love. I got to give you what you love. It's time to give you what you love. Give you what you love. Give you some love. Yeah, baby. I said I take your time, take what you love, baby, just enough, but never too much, baby. Take your time, take what you love and work it, baby. Cry, you better look at that, baby. Take your time, take what you love, baby, just enough, but never too much, baby. Take your time, and when it give me some love, won't you give me what you
Good afternoon, all and sundry. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and I am your host on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Listen, Marva has a lot of stuff to talk with you about today. Of course, we're going to follow the news. We have Reverend Dr. Alan Waller on. We are exactly 2 weeks away from this upcoming elections. I hope you all have been paying attention. I talked to you yesterday a little bit about Google and what was going on there, and now the government is officially suing them because they've become a monolith, so we'll talk a little bit about that when I go through my news stories. But I wanted to start with you to let you know on the PhiladelphiaSundaySun.com, they are talking about services, the celebration and life announcement of Earl Harvey. If you knew Earl Harvey, I'm going to ask you to call in and talk to me a little bit about him. His death occurred on Monday, October 12, 2020, and the viewing for him will be Thursday, October 29th from 4:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Bachelor Brothers Incorporated Funeral Services at 7112 North Broad Street, Philadelphia, PA 19126. Oh, that's not far from where Mother lives. And then the celebration of life will be happening Friday, October 30th, 2020. Viewing from 1:30 p.m. and the service starts at 2:30 p.m. Same place, Bachelor's Brother Incorporated at 7112 North Broad Street in Philadelphia, PA. Listen, if you knew Earl Harvey, Earl Davis Harvey, I saw when he passed away, and everybody was just in shock because some folks said they had spoken to him 1 o'clock that afternoon on Monday, October 12th, and by the time 6 o'clock that evening came around, the stories were starting to come out that Earl had passed away. So the Philadelphia Sunday Sun just posted all of this, and I wanted to make you all aware. If you knew Earl, please call and give me some of your memories of him because he was an icon here in Philadelphia. A from West Philly. My goodness, I just got on the air. What's going on, A?
It's going on. It's going down. Let me tell you, I got 50 cents, but I need 49. Let me tell you something, and I'm going to tell it to you straight, is that
Yes, sir.
anybody started with Kanye West, and he's like Dr. Joe says, ignorant Negroes, in regards to setting the tone for what our young folk listen to. Now, what we need to do is counteract that with the Beehive. Everybody get online. Anybody who marched in Black Lives Matter, marched for Jonathan Price, marched for George Floyd, marched for Breonna Taylor, LGB, anybody who needs some health care because they have a pre-condition. Those things will be over if we allow Thanos 45 to get back on that throne next time around. We have to dispatch him from that office. And that is a fact. And which means we need to stick together like the end game and know our enemy and thump like we used to do back in the day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
80% of the people who were registered last time did not vote. And that is ridiculous. We could not allow
Wait a minute. Say that again. 80% of the people who registered last time did not vote?
Yeah. They were either registered or they were not registered. They didn't register. They were registered, didn't vote, or they registered and voted for Thanos. And that's how we got in there.
Yeah. I'm going to try and verify that before I throw that out there.
I understand. But it does seem like a lot. Because even if that's not accurate in regards to the number, the main thing is that we have to set the tone. And the people who say that I'm voting for Trump now or voting for Thanos now, they have to say first, I like the fact that he gave a biological plague to us, a social plague to us, and an economic plague to us. I like the fact that 300,000 people died. I like the fact that he's getting ready to knock out of health care, and I like the fact that he wants to make America hate again. And that's why I'm going to vote for Trump. Who would say that?
Right.
Who would say that? It is terrible if they are considering voting for Trump, and an abstain vote, I'm not voting, is a vote for the enemy.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for calling in and letting me know. You know, I'm going to try and verify.
There's one more thing, Andrea. We need to fight with the heart of the Black Panther.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. You have a great afternoon, okay? All right. Oh, you're quite welcome. All right. So there was, since A called first thing, oh, my. Gary from Southwest, line 2. How are you, sir?
Hey, Andrea. How are you?
I'm good.
That's good. I was listening to what you were saying. Earl Harvey was a friend of mine also.
Oh, was he?
I've been to many of his affairs he had, and his son and my son both went into mastering together. So we would always run into each other. Sometimes we were either picking them up or we were at a school event, and he was a really good brother. The last event I went to, I think it was Solomon had an event at community college. They were trying to get the men together to come up with a strategy to deal, with the violence that's going on in the city. And that was actually the last time I actually spoke to Earl and seen him. He's I don't know what to say. I still can't believe it.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot.
He's a very good brother. Thank you for allowing me to just express that.
Oh, you're welcome, Gary. One of the things that I'm noticing in this city is that we kind of highlight the same 5 people over and over again, right? And there's so many awesome folks on the ground doing amazing work that we don't get to talk about, and we don't talk about until they die. Fortunately for us, Earl Harvey was one of those people that people loved, right? They spoke of him all the time. But in his sudden passing, and I'm saying sudden because there are folks who said they had spoken to him earlier that day, and he was hearty and fine and was getting ready to do another meeting, and then he passed away. When he suddenly passed away, it got to a place where, can you hear me? Hello? Mike, what happened? All right, so Gary is gone. Kitora, are you there?
Hi, yes, I am here. How are you today?
All right, I'm good. And I have an echo now, so I just want to make sure Mike fixes that. How are you, lady?
I'm doing okay. I mean, this week was a rough one because Earl was also a friend of mine, and we were professional colleagues on a lot of levels and for a very long time. So, his sudden passing, it was sudden like that because he had called a bunch of us that work in this whole business support area throughout the city in many organizations, and we've been meeting since March on Fridays for this strategic plan. This was Earl's brainchild, where he said, when the world gets a cold, black people get pneumonia, and he was like, we've got to get on top of this right away. So he had us meeting every Friday since March, when pandemic first hit, to work on a strategic plan. And it was people like me from Power Up Your Business, people from the Goldman Sachs program, people from a list of organizations and nonprofits who work for the development of businesses in the city. And he pulled all of us out of these organizations, which are not necessarily all black organizations, to say we as black people need to get together and work on a plan. And we had just come to the conclusion of phase 1 of that plan, like Friday before he died, you know. And shock is not even the word. It just seemed like it just knocked the wind out of you to hear that he was gone like that. And excuse me, I don't want to start getting teary. But in addition to that, I was talking to friends because he I knew him as a teenager, and one of my friends that I was talking with was saying, yeah, I started at Central in 9th grade, Central High School. You know, Earl was one of the old heads that helped pave the way. He said, I was in 9th grade, he was in 10th, and it just cracked me up, you know, because, but it just speaks to the fact that Earl's character has been this way since he was young, and that he was always a connector. He always reached out to people. And I want to mention a couple other people who passed away in recent years, and that would be E. Stephen Collins and a photographer who happened to be Jewish, Mendelssohn, who died suddenly. And these were all people, including Earl, who were always everywhere. You know, we always saw them everywhere, and you knew that their concern was with us, as black people, even the Jewish guy, you know, the photographer, and also with us as small business owners, you know.
Yes.
So his loss
it's so
is
funny that you spoke. It's so funny that you spoke of Mendelssohn, because he and I had just attended Davita's funeral a month before with Lorraine Ballard Morrow. And then that's maybe a month later, it was a Saturday morning, I get a text message that said to me, are you okay? And I said, what do you mean, am I okay? And then they said, Robert passed. I said, no, I just talked to Robert a week ago. He could not have passed away. And, you know, come to find out, this man that was so many things to so many people, you know, at least with Earl in life, he was given his flowers. Robert Mendelssohn ended up getting his flowers after he died, right?
Yeah,
he had to quickly pull together a funeral for him and make sure, and we had lots of people across the city donate, because I was the one that spearheaded his repast. And so people were sending donations and food, and people came and volunteered. That's how the city showed up for Robert in his passing. But I want to say this in speaking with you. When folks use their creativity to make sure that we get what we need in our city and state and country, we want to not only treat them well, but pay them well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
People should not live below poverty level when they're giving that kind of quality work. Robert has left photographs that will go on into the next century, I'm telling you. And so we have to think about those things, right?
Yep. And I will say this about this character, too, because Robert, you know, when Robert passed away, everybody was like, he was my best friend. He had that way of touching people that made everybody feel important. And Earl had that same quality. You know, I'm hearing from people now at all levels of business, from the startup, whatever. And I need to post a video I had taken of Earl a year ago at Med Week, where he talked about the importance of Med Week. And, you know, when you shoot video randomly, you don't know what people are going to say, but it was like this perfect clip I got of him saying, you know, what the purpose of Med Week is, and how that report had just come out that said that, you know, in the city with 45% black, we only have 2.5% of businesses. And Earl was commenting on that in this clip that I got. I'm going to post it on Facebook Live for you. But he was saying, you know, how important it was for black business owners to get into Med Week. We know there's more than 2.5% out here, but a lot of us are out here on this hustle and sort of undercover with business, and it's time to get above that level and to move on and to push yourself forward. And I'm going to say this again, you know, I'm very fortunate right now to be working with the Power Up Your Business program, because, one, I was targeting at helping black-owned businesses and small businesses in general when I went on the path of getting an MBA. And the problem that I had is that when I first came out of school, which was 2015, I got a degree late in life, but when I first came out, it wasn't a viable business option because the businesses I wanted to help could not afford to pay me, and I couldn't afford to live like that. So when I got with Power Up, it was a two-part thing where I get paid, and then we can provide services for free. And it's not just me alone. I have a team behind me of instructors and business coaches and all this stuff that is providing free business training. And Power Up isn't alone. There's a bunch of us out here now that are working towards this. So passion for Earl, I mean, from way back, before it was really popular. You know, like now it's not popular to be promoting black-owned businesses, but he had that newspaper for a couple of decades, you know. So the loss is immeasurable.
Well, thank you. So
Yeah.
let me, because I'm going to have to take a break soon, and I'm getting
sure,
quite a feedback with you. Let people know how they can reach the Power Up program quickly, please.
I will. So it's www.ccp.edu/power-up.
Put that in the Facebook page, please.
I will put that on the Facebook page, yes.
Right? We want to, because information is power, and you know, we
Yes.
want to encourage people who would not otherwise do this when they want to hang out a shingle and do business. It is a free program. They'll help you how to show you how to start your business properly, so that when we
Yes.
have stimulus funding and those kinds of things happening, you will be able to have access to doing and to be gaining some of those monies, right?
Yes,
Because you have everything done. But thank you
Yes.
so much for calling in, Kitty, and thank you so
Sure.
much for giving us a snippet of Earl Harvard.
Yeah,
Okay?
he was something else, and no one will replace him. So thank you.
Yes.
And thank you
I
for what you do, too. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome, my
You
sister.
are,
Have a great day.
you know, you're stepping up into that place, and it's so needed. I so appreciate you. So.
Oh, you're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. It is my absolute pleasure. All right? Have
All right.
a good one. All right. Bye-bye. I wanted to share, that was good. I appreciated folks calling in to talk about Earl Harvey, who recently passed away suddenly. His funeral will be the 29th and the 30th of October on Broad Street. I'll do that a little bit later if anyone would like to know that address again. But I'd like to move on because I have so many other things going on. Congresswoman Madeline Dean invites you to a drive-in town hall today, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. The driving is happening at Montgomery County Community College, the Bluebell campus, 340 DeKalb Pike, Bluebell, PA, 19422. Again, Congresswoman Madeline Dean is inviting you to a drive-in town hall October 20th, that is today, from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Montgomery County Community College, and that is at the Bluebell campus, 640 DeKalb Pike, Bluebell, PA, 19422. All right, moving right along. I have so much to share with you because each day that I get on the air, I'm like, all right, I got to tell them this and I got to tell them that, because information is power. And if you just heard Keturah talking to you, she runs the Power Up program at the Community College of Philadelphia and is really helping small business owners. We talked about this. The Reverend Leon H. Sullivan's daughter was on the air yesterday, excuse me, and she spoke of helping small business owners to get their trademarks so that China and other countries don't buy their products, take their names off, put their own names on, and make all the money from it. You know, that kind of stuff is necessary for us if we want to get into business and to stay in the business. All right. The time is 1:21 p.m. and the temperature is 68 balmy degrees, brought to you by the Beach Companies with 30 years of serving the community. Check out their website for the free Black Business Directory and their Community Resources Directory at beachcompanies.com. Again, check out their website for the free Black Business Directory and their Community Resources Directory at beachcompany.com. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
The time is now to put an end to the chronic incompetence of Donald Trump and his League of Liars. Donald Trump makes a mockery of the institution of the presidency. He's polarized our country, and his dangerous policies must not continue. Joe Biden has the character, empathy, and experience to lead us through these challenging times. He helped lead the nation out of the 2008 financial crisis into the longest period of economic growth in our history, and he can do it again. As president, he will heal divisions and unite us around the shared values of justice. He'll create opportunities for quality education and good-paying jobs, and he'll build on the Affordable Care Act, not tear it down. While Donald Trump thinks coronavirus and climate change are a hoax, Joe Biden already has a coronavirus recovery plan and a strategy to create more jobs while also tackling the climate crisis. Vote for a president who will stand on the right side of history. Vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Paid for by Black PAC and Priorities USA Action, blackpac.com and prioritiesUSAaction.org, which are responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
COVID-19 impacted a lot of things this year, including regular vaccination appointments. Vaccines help protect you and everyone around you, especially during flu season. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider today to make sure you and your children are vaccinated. Vaccines keep us safe, and they work. Skip the flu this year. Get your vaccination today. Let's stay protected together. For more information, visit health.pa.gov. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
New Voices for Reproductive Justice is registering Black women and their families in Philly to vote. The general election is on November 3rd. You can register to vote online at rock.vote/New Voices. That's rock.vote/New Voices. The deadline to register is October 19th. If you need assistance registering to vote, visit newvoicesrj.org.
Need a new mattress? Stop by to see Julian, the Mattress Man, located at 7421 Stenton Avenue. You deal directly with the owner, Julian, to ensure the best prices on name brand mattresses like Sealy Posturepedic. Call 215-424-5550. That's 215-424-5550.
Hey, WURD family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days employment. Call 856-754-0355 or visit amorososbaking.com for details.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. One of my favorite people is on the line waiting to speak to me. But before I chat with him, I just wanted to say the Essence magazine put out today that it is Senator Kamala Harris's birthday today, 2 weeks before the election where she is making absolute history, win, lose, or draw. As a Black woman who was on the ticket for the presidential election. Up right now is Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller, who is the senior pastor of the Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church in Philadelphia. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, how are we?
How are you?
I am great. I'm great. We done got everybody registered that we could. Today was the last day. Well, yesterday was the last day, right?
Yes.
And, and so now we just make sure we get everybody to the polls.
Yes, yes. Wow. So lots and lots of things are happening. I have been having conversations with folks around, they're concerned that their ballots have been sent in. In fact, my husband and I both sent in our ballots. Mine was counted. They haven't found his yet. And we did it at the same exact time, in the same exact place. And he was on hold for over an hour yesterday trying to figure out what happened to his ballot. Right? So it's those kinds of things. And then I'm talking to a lot of young people who are saying that they'd rather go on the day to vote because they're not trusting. They're seeing all this stuff in the news about ballot boxes being burned or disappearing, And I try to tell people, Dr. Waller, that this is when it's about to start. We're 2 weeks away from the elections, and it's not going to be easy starting today. It wasn't always easy. Let's be clear, with COVID and everything else that's happening. But starting today, all the way up until November 3rd, we're going to need Jesus, soup, and everything in between to get over this. What do you have to offer the people around? I know there were 5 new sites opened yesterday.
That's right. And one of the things that I want to at least hearten our people to understand, particularly if you're in the city, you're in Philly, machinery wants you to vote. And so generally speaking, everybody in our area wants us to be counted and wants to get it in. We are in a democratic city. We are in, and generally speaking, everybody that handles your ballot in Philadelphia wants your ballot to be counted. Now, you know, as you get outside of Philadelphia and get out into the county a little more, that's a critical and a fair concern that, you know, the mail-in voting can be messed with. And we got to keep our eye on it. But I think that people need to know, generally speaking, if you're doing a drop box, all the hands that are on it are hands that don't want it to get lost.
Right.
So we can have some solace there. Now, there are eyes on the process, but the hands that are on the process tend to be hands that don't want your ballot to be lost. So that I'm kind of holding on to. But I think that another strategy, and I affirm young people, with the way they count these ballots is it's like two tranches. There are the ones that come in the mail and absentee, and the ones that come through the polls on that day. I believe that as a strategy, we need enough people to go in on November the 3rd, because we need to win both counts.
Yes.
Because what I believe that Donald Trump is going to do is he's going to get the returns from Alabama at 8 o'clock, and he's going to act like he won. And he's going to declare victory, even though it's a lie, because, you know, truth doesn't matter to him. And I think that what we're going to need is that he lost in the walk-in count and in the mail-in count. Because what he's going to try to do is get that mail-in count not to count.
Right.
But now I did get a word that I'm encouraged about, and that is in Montgomery County, only 0.08% of the mail-in ballots so far have had any issue, like missing signature or only 0.08%. People are really doing the thing right. And so that's an encouraging sign that all of our efforts have caused people to pay attention, have caused people to do it the right way. And we know that there's going to be some shenanigans, but right now I'm feeling good about what's happening. I expect all hell to break out between now and the 3rd, and we're prepared for that. And but I feel good, but we can't take our foot off the pedal.
Yeah. Are you still working on volunteers, or do you have enough volunteers set up? Do you need people for phone banking? Like, what is the scenario for election day?
Yeah, I have been working on the poll worker and polling site thing. Also, we're working with an organization called Turnout Sunday, Callers and Lawyers. And if you are a clergy person that is interested, you can go to and just Google Turnout Sunday, and you will see a program about callers and lawyers, and you can volunteer to be a volunteer chaplain on that day. And what that means is you'll go to a poll, and you will be equipped with all of the voting regulations and understand what should happen. You will also be equipped with a 1-800 number. Should you see any voter illegalities or irregularities, you just call that number. And it's another layer of nonpartisan protection for the vote. So I'm going to be out with my mask that says Callers and Lawyers. That means I'll be teamed up with a lawyer at a polling site, and we're trying to make sure that there are callers and lawyers all over Philadelphia, along with our polling site. We're going to be doing, and right now, members of Enon that have volunteered to be poll workers, I have bought them, given them a gift that they can wear on that day. And so we're very excited about that. And on Saturdays, they've been showing up to pick up their gifts. So at this point, I'm just being cheerleader and reminding people to don't take your foot off the backpedal, even though we're watching this man, and I know this won't sound right, but I just hate the fact that humanity is so devolved that a whole party can't see that their person is literally going crazy in front of America and nobody can stop him or help him.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's still a human being.
Yes, it is. I think they can see it, Pastor Waller. Here's what I think. This is just Andrea speaking. Here's what I think.
Yep.
I think that they've compromised themselves so much following him, even though they see the train wreck in front of them, they're willing to go over the cliff to save themselves.
Yeah.
Because when he loses this election, as they're coming for him, they're going to pluck them all off one at a time, right? That were accomplices in all of his madness. So I can understand.
That's right.
I can see them watching it and going, oh, this is crazy. He's going to lose this thing. So what do? We still have to hold on to this train for as long as we possibly can. There are folks working out what their situation is going to look like after this election, because they've done something. I mean, the things that I am seeing and hearing, like Rudy Giuliani has been a compromised Russian operative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that the federal government, and you believe that they have all these tapes on them, right? They know exactly what's going on and who did what. And so everybody's blustering, and a lot of them made a ton of money, right, on our backs in the middle of all of this. So they see it. The man is imploding. You can see it. But there are people that are going to absolutely follow him off the cliff. My concern is not about that right now. I want to make sure that people on this side, the people who have been struggling and suffering, and the 220,000 that died, and all of those folks, that they're accounted for in the end. Tomorrow at noon, I am doing a conversation with the Philadelphia Sunday Sun with people who had COVID-19 right here in Philadelphia and what their recovery process is. One woman's mother died, and so we're going to talk about it. I want folks to realize that they have to, you can't stop wearing your mask. You can't stop.
That's right. That's right.
Pastor Waller, it's all of that, right? And we have to, we have to use our pulpits responsibly, quote unquote. And so for me today, when I get off the air with you, I'm going to read those 4 ballot questions again, because people keep saying that when they heard them, they actually looked for those ballot questions so that they could answer them. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We have a responsibility here. So you and I have been. I don't know what I'm going to do when the election is over and we don't talk every Tuesday anymore.
Right.
We've been really keeping our foot on the pedal.
The reality is, when the election is over, that's when the real work starts. Our country is in so bad of an organizational condition that it's not simply about winning the election. It's about winning the election and making sure that in the 2 more months that he still holds the Oval Office, he doesn't tear this place up.
Yes, Pastor Waller,
that's number one.
Yeah, I believe the 2 weeks after the election, you and I should still be talking anyway, because I think people are going to be absolutely frightened by what comes out of this.
Absolutely. The same system that got to Jeffrey Epstein in that jail is going to have to get to whoever it has to get to when it realizes its power is about to be gone.
Yep.
And so this is going to be a very interesting time. But what I need our people to remember is, don't be surprised by anything over these next 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Don't be surprised, and I don't want to speak this into existence, but don't be surprised by a racially motivated shooting. Don't be surprised by a ludicrous thing that comes out in the news. The other side would love for us to decide to have a riot or get emotional and throw in the towel or tear things up. I think we need to remember that. We need to remember that. It doesn't mean that we don't react, but we have to recognize that even Scripture teaches that the closer we get to the time of Satan's ultimate jailing, if you will, that there'll be frenetic spiritual energy going on. And the closer you get, when somebody realizes their time is short, they will go at no length to tear it up. And so we need to be prepared for that and not allow us to get knocked off our square. We've got to show up. We've got to vote. And then we've got to stick close, because the next thing that happens is making sure he doesn't tear it up. And then after that, this new president is going to have to appoint judges and is going to have to get help from new voices in our community. And we've got to make sure that we're ready to work for these next 4 years to get the country back to square so that we can get ready for the first black woman president.
Yes, yes. And there are too many people who want to see anything but that happening. So
exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. And we got to lift our sister up, and we cannot let any of our own internal conversations mess her up.
Yes, that's exactly right. Listen, I have a question for you. I was doing a broadcast of the Reverend Leon H. Sullivan last Friday because it was his birthday. And one of the things that was said to me in one of the private conversations I had was that you followed his teachings and his principles. Is that true, sir?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And as a direct result.
My father was responsible for the OIC, getting the OIC into Cleveland, Ohio. He was a contemporary with Leon Sullivan.
Right. So it made sense to me after hearing this person say this, why you have the largest church in Philadelphia. You have the football teams, the basketball teams. You make sure that your people are engaged and enveloped in whatever is going on in the community. You didn't just get in the pulpit and preached and had people throwing stuff at you. You really became that leader that was engaged. And I'm not saying this lightly, Pastor Waller. Trust me when I tell you, if you've learned anything about me, you know that I pay attention to what's going on around me. And so I watch the community. People didn't have to be a member of your church to be part of that. This is all about community leadership, and you did it brilliantly. What I'd love to see, sir, is what you have done and what the Reverend Leon H. Sullivan done. You know, and I hear you talking about training someone to pass the baton. All good indications of solid leadership. What I'd love to see is what you're doing replicated at a much larger scale in different places all around this city. I'm not saying that it's not happening. I just want to be able to talk about the people who are actually doing the replication, right? So that we can give people some hope, because what's happening right now is that folks are desperate and, you know, they don't know where to turn and they're feeling unheard. And you and I are just two voices out of many. There are plenty of folks on the ground doing work that we have just not been able to access. Right? Yeah. So
that's real. And that's real. I was just a part of a conversation today. There's a young man who is pastoring a church, the Epiphany Church on Broad Street. It's kind of nestled there on Temple's campus. His name is Eric Mason, and he's got a book called Woke Church, and his church is 90% millennial. He is doing the doggone thing. And
can you connect us, Pastor Waller? I'd love to talk to him.
Yep. And he's doing a really good job. He's a young brother that, the young brother Carl Day, and of course my son in ministry, G. Lamar Stewart.
Yes.
Yeah. And I could continue to call some names. There's a young man, Clayton Hicks, who has just started a church called the Resurgent Church over in North Philly. There's Stephen Mack, who is over in Camden, and so there are people that really begin to do. Pastor Ed Smith, who is in North Philly as well, and so I'm excited about the future of the church. And one thing that we're doing in revival this week, each night I'm having one of them do the prayer, because I'm wanting people to know that we are a team and that there are other pastors that have come through Enon that are out doing their thing. And each night I introduce another person that is pastoring a church in the area and say a little bit about who he is, and then have him pray for us. Yes,
that is awesome. We're going to have to go, but G. Lamar Stewart is someone that I've spent quite a bit of time with at my Sunday dinner table. I love that young man. We met in Uncle Bobby's, and I became his auntie.
There you go.
So I know, some of what he's doing and what he's always done, and that he has a heart for the people. So you're right on the money. You're absolutely right on the money. But I'd like to be able to use this platform to elevate some of what they're doing. Not necessarily about their work in the church, but their work in the community, so that people know they're there and we can do what we need to do to get the word out.
And I think, I know we have to go, but I think that's important on this station. When Dr. Lomax bought the station, I was on when he bought it. I've been dealing with WURD from the very beginning, and I intended to be on WURD. And let me just say, I wanted to be on WURD because I also know that there's a critical voice on WURD. Yes. There are people who come on WURD who have a lot of hard things to say about the black church, and they're fair, because the black church is guilty at times of not being where it needs to be. But I intended to be a part of the WURD family because the people who are angry, when somebody's angry at you, the gift in it is that anger comes from thinking that you should be more, and they care and they love and they want you to be what you're not. And so I don't receive the angry people who say bad things about the church as my enemy. They are there and reminding me of just how important I am. Yes. And I think that is important for us to hear. And we have to have that conversation, because the black community will not make it without the church.
Listen, and another part of your excellent leadership, Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller, thank you so much for always being a part of it. I look forward to chatting with you next Tuesday. Maybe on election day we can do an election coverage. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Okay.
Sounds
all
good.
right, sir. You have a good one. All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. We will be right back after these messages.
2020 is the year of voter options. We have many different ways to exercise one of the most important activities in our lifetime. Some of us might be voting by mail, but the rest of us can still vote safely while masked up and social distancing in person at your local polling locations. If you're in Philadelphia, learn more about where your polling location might be at either votespa.com or philadelphiavotes.com. For more information on how to vote in Pennsylvania, visit states.aarp.org/Pennsylvania. Vote early.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton, keeping it real
with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time,
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real
with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
This program is pre-recorded.
No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM.
WURDradio.com.
Your success doesn't have to wait. It's time for a new year and a new you. And with Community College of Philadelphia, your goals are within reach. Our programs are a direct line to today's most sought-after careers, and you can skip the debt without sacrificing the quality of your education. Choose Community College of Philadelphia this spring semester, and you're choosing an education that you will value for years to come. Classes will be offered online, and all admissions and student support services are available remotely. Don't pay more at another college to earn the same credits from home. Start your success story with Community College of Philadelphia. Join us for a virtual open house on Thursday, November 5th at 6 p.m. To get started, RSVP at ccp.edu/open house. Your success starts at ccp.edu.
This is not a fad for us.
We will not resume our regular programming when things die down. We're not black to help our bottom line or because it's politically correct. We're not joining a fight. This has been our fight, our message, our people. Black lives have always mattered here. We are
undeniably,
indefatigably, unapologetically, permanently Black Talk Media.
WURD.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I just had a conversation with the Reverend Dr. Alan E. Waller. We have been talking for weeks now, leading up to the election, giving people everything they need to know. Before this show is over, I am going to read you the 4 ballot questions like I've always promised. That I will do every single time I am on the air. I have so much news to share with you, but I also want to get the callers in. So let me start with Joe, North Philly. Joe, are you there?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Oh, you're quite welcome. How are you, sir?
I'm a little frustrated.
All right.
Because number one, I'm a Christian and I believe in the Lord. Mm-hmm. You know, the Lord has been my help in time of trouble. In my distress, I called on him and he heard me and answered me. But I'm a little distressed over the behavior and the attitudes of so-called Christians, how they just how they distort the truth and how they biasly report what is going on. You know, first of all, I want to say this, that I'm not here to propagate President Trump or to put down Joe Biden. I'm only here to say that, first of all, our country is ran by 3 parts of three heads. You got the judicial, the legislative, and the executive branch. President Trump can't do anything without Congress. Much. He can do some things, but he can't do anything. So to keep saying that he's going to do this and scaring out people that he's going to do that and he's a monster and he's a clown and it's not Christian. It's not godly. Jesus Christ told us to love everyone, our brothers and sisters, and especially you don't speak ill of our leaders. You don't speak ill. If you disagree with them, disagree in a diplomatic way. Disagree in a diplomatic way. But they're destroying our people. They're using our people as a pawn. They got this democratic, not even a silent dog whistle. They got a silent trumpet that they blowing. You know, and we can't rely on Joe Biden or Donald Trump. We have to trust in the Lord. But to continually castigate and put down a man and call him a racist and this, that, and the other is not Christian. It is not. And it really, I'm almost to the point of being offended. And so are a lot of other people. Because this man, I want to say one other thing. This man, be he good, bad, or ugly, or indifferent, or whatever, he has given more money to poor black people and poor white people than any other president. He just sent out a stimulus and blah, 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 and people getting unemployment. I mean, bottom line is money talks. Mm-hmm. Money talks. And he is the executive, and the ball fell in his lap, and Joe Biden talking about he has a plan to fight this COVID. Well, bring it out. Tell people about it. If you got a solution, don't keep it hidden. Mm-hmm. You understand? But this nonsense that the black people are supposed to swallow is just repulsive to me.
Mr. Joe, thank you so much. I appreciate all forms of. Are you voting, Joe?
Listen, I've been registered to vote for I don't know how long, but I tell you this: it is our duty to go to register. Mm-hmm. But when I go to the polls, I have difficulty selecting any party. Now I vote on the questions, and I think that all these questions should be basically no. Don't borrow any money. Don't borrow no money and have it paid for on the backs of black people that's paying their little taxes. You know, you're killing us with these taxes while the rich, they wander on off and don't have to pay any taxes. Mm-hmm. And our children are not being educated. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't vote on these different bond issues. I vote on these different bond issues, but I'll usually vote no. But I haven't found it to really be satisfied with anybody out here.
Yeah, I hear you, Joe. Thank you so much, my brother. You have a good day, and thank you for calling in, okay?
All right.
All right,
bye-bye.
All right. All right, listen, all opinions matter in here in these Wakandan streets. Joe voiced his opinion, and there it is. Maurice from Southwest.
Hello there, Mother.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I just want to say that I respect the gentleman before me's opinion. I don't agree with everything he said, but that ending part about the borrowing off of poor black people is true. Because every election, the city borrows and calls it bonds or whatever they want to call it. Every election been borrowing keep around 175 million for office buildings and nonsense. But all this money the city wastes never goes to the black community. Never goes. And we think when they say that 175, we getting a piece of it, and we never do. But the main thing I called you about, because I usually do a little joke, but today is a serious day. Yes. Did you know that every state rep is up for election?
Yes.
Why haven't they been coming to the radio station?
You asking me?
But what I'm saying is that the way the system is set up is once we run a primary, the election is over because this is a democratic city. So they feel like when it's election time, they don't have to hit the streets. They don't have to tell us the good things that they're supposed to be doing because the election is already won.
You know, the other thing, Maurice, is, and someone will correct me if I'm wrong, is that radio and television stations don't usually highlight candidates, because if you highlight one, you have to highlight them all, and then it becomes a morass, you know. And so there has to be other spaces for them to show up, though, to talk about what they're doing and what they intend to do for the people once they get elected. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, but my beef is we have regular state reps that call here all the time because I've been listening since the start of this station. And all of a sudden, when it comes around, see, a lower turnout and votes means they're going to get reelected. See, people don't know how the game is being played. The less votes, the more the incumbent will win because they go by name recognition. So we don't hear the other side, or we don't hear anybody else after the primary that's running against them, so they just have free reign. And that's my problem with what's going on how we keep getting the same people doing the same thing, which is nothing. I just want you to remember one thing. Our state reps voted down 15,000 people who have disabilities, not on welfare, disabilities, were getting a $200 stipend to help them be able to eat. And they paid no attention to it and let it get voted down. You have 15,000 families throughout Pennsylvania. Instead of maybe eating oodles or noodles, they're eating cat food because of our state representatives, because they didn't do their due diligence. See, I pay attention to these things because they are public servants, people. I keep telling people they're not celebrities. They're not there for selfies. They work for us, and we forget that. We're just so glad to have a black person in office that we let the faults go back, forth. But if they were white, we'd be screaming murder. So we got to understand about this voting game and how it's being played, because right now we're sitting down playing checkers while everybody else is playing chess.
So one of the things, and I have to take a break, and then I'll take George. George, I know you're there. I have to take a break, and when I come off the break, I'll talk to you. One of the things that I know for sure is, and you want to check this out, Maurice, is that are they the majority in the assembly? Because if they're not, then the other side will vote them down. They may have wanted to keep the $200 for the folks, but they were voted down by the other, which is why voting is so important, right? But we have to know what we're voting for, and then they have to.
But can I say this last thing though? This, because I know you was going to say that. I already knew you was getting ready to say. I wrote a note on this. When we questioned them about like Rab, State Representative Rab, about why did they let that happen? Guess what they said? What? Oh, we didn't know. So then I can't help them. Then I can't help them. Then I can't help them.
I tried. I can't help them because they have to be responsible in making sure that they know what bills are sitting in front of them, so that they know what's going to affect the people that they're serving. So I can't help them there. All right, Maurice. Mother got to go and take a quick break, and then I got to get George in. Okay. All right. You didn't even say goodbye, Maurice. You didn't even say goodbye. Just rude. Call back and tell Mother goodbye. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
At PICO, we know one thing is certain. Times have changed. From kitchen classrooms to couch conference calls, searching for a new job, or new ways to keep your family connected. These changes have become a part of our reality. That's why our teams are working 24/7 to meet the needs of our communities. So no matter how much things change, you can depend on PICO to be there with the energy and help you need to power through. Learn more at pico.com.
Enterprise Exterminators, located 4943 Wayne Avenue, specializing in lanternflies, termites, bedbugs, fleas, mice, and roaches. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Call now, 215-849-7070.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour work day, kind of work people more than 8 hours without overtime, kind of work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Her great-great-grandfather was former KKK Grand Dragon Edmund Pettus. Her great-grandfather was famed Harlem Renaissance poet Arna Bontemps. So writing and revolution are in her blood. On Wednesday, October 28th at 7:30 p.m., join in a riveting virtual conversation with educator and legacy provocateur Carolyn Randall Williams. After garnering international acclaim for her recent New York Times essay, You Want a Confederate Monument? My Body is a Confederate Monument. Williams will share much more about her role in the movement to dismantle race and gender-based violence through the power of her voice and her words. Don't miss what is sure to be an amazing virtual event on Wednesday, October 28th at 7:30 p.m. My Body is a Monument with Carolyn Randall Williams. This is a free event, but registration is required. Visit firstpersonarts.org's events page to reserve your spot today. Presented by the Philadelphia Department of Behavioral Health Engaging Males of Color Initiative and First Person Arts.
Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDRadio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Before we get to our next guest, who are calling it at around 2 p.m., I may have called in already, knowing Michael. So, George, where are you, darling?
I'm here, Mother. I'm here. And how are you today?
You're buttering up Mother.
You know,
I heard that, George. You're buttering up Mother and going for the kill. What do you need, sir?
I was really trying to call when Pastor Waller was there to thank him for not being a part of those elitist Negroes up there in the Northwest.
See?
You know, and I always beg him, he should have all of them in his church and teach them how to be humble. Yes. You know, those elected officials up there have no sense of being humble. It's like they're greedy, they're selfish. All they do is think of themselves. And, Mother, you're going to learn that eventually. You know,
Hey, George, the dog doesn't have to bite me. Mother is savvy. I'm not slow.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
One of the things you will see about me, just because I don't denigrate and make a bunch of noise, does not mean that I don't see. You know how you can tell that I'm not a part of something? You don't see me in their spaces. I refuse to show up in those spaces.
But and the sad part is that the proof is in the pudding because, like I say, everything I say is a matter of public information. All you got to do is look it up or go get it. It's right there. I don't just sit up there and talk about stuff that's not in writing. I learned that a long time ago. If it ain't in writing, don't talk about it, you know, because there's no proof. But like I'm saying is that if they would put the effort, and everything Maurice said was true, because we brought it up on the air, but you have a bunch of hosts
who play kiss up all the time, protecting these elected officials, look, they paycheck is they praise. You know, like Gary always say, they want to be stars. The worst thing that ever happened was Zoom. They're giving out shout-outs all the time. I want to give a shout-out to so-and-so. They can't talk, they got to scream. You know, and those state reps, they're lazy. How can lazy and trifling? How is it that you can sit there and let all those people, and Maurice was wrong with the number, cost the state was almost like maybe close to 250, 300,000 people who got cut off. Because of why? They weren't there to push the issue about the bill. They would have never got slammed. This state here, Pennsylvania, didn't sue Trump for the thing of people who was unemployed for the food stamps. You understand that? The Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. turned it over, but none of those state reps was joining in on the lawsuit to sue the government on behalf of that. So it's things they could do to help poor people, but no, like they say, they get a ride. They get a pass all the time because they come in your neighborhood with that big old phony check telling you what they're going to do for the community, but they never tell you that you have to have matching funds. That's the problem. Nobody ever challenges them. All they do is kiss up to them or praise them, you know, trying to be their friend. You got a microphone. You ain't got to be their friend. They got to be your friend. They need to do their job. Look what they did to Jim Roebuck. Here go a guy, busted his butt, made sure that public schools in Philadelphia got the money they got, and what did they do? They got him out of office before a guy who needed a job. Incidentally, the guy was white. You know, Mother, have a good, just, you know, it's always a pleasure to listen to you, you know, because at least
and
you're
it's
not
a
a kiss
pleasure
up.
talking to you. Listen.
No, you're not
George.
a kiss up, and you tell her like it is. You know, it's not like you trying to be their friend or kissing up to them, you know. One thing I like about Mayor Kenny, he said it right. You can buy them for as little as $250, no more than $2,500, and he's right. And you can silence him. So far, he's telling the truth.
I hear you. Thank you so much, my George. You take it easy, okay, sir? All right. Look, they're all hanging up without saying goodbye to Mother. Now, I'm going to need y'all when you call in, say goodbye to Mother before you hang up the phone. It's rude. George, Maurice, all of you. All right. Just playing around. Listen, this show, I love the WURD listeners. I can almost tell what they're going to say. Somebody find Woody, because I haven't heard from Woody in almost a week, which means either Woody is sick or he's not speaking to Marvin. I don't think I ain't doing anything to him. So let's find where Woody is so he can call in. All right. Right now we have Shayla Street and Samaya Smalley. Shayla Street is a rising senior at Central High School. And this summer she has been working to make her goal a reality as a Vote That John digital media intern and a My School Votes Ambassador Fellow. I don't see anything here about Samaya. Hi, darlings. How are you? Good afternoon, ladies.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're good. So are you on to talk to Mother about the election?
Yes. Well, the registration deadline is over now, but we still have to get them, to push out the vote for October 3rd or voting early, which is...
November 3rd. So let me ask the both of you this. How have you been doing with getting the young people out to vote, the Vote That John?
I think we've been doing pretty good, but like we said in the last segment, it's hard to go through the schools, but we've been having more success with just going out in the community and doing it that way.
Mm-hmm. And so what has your success rate been like when you go out into the community?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
What has your success rate been like since you've been in the community doing the work, since you couldn't go through the schools?
Okay. Well, I think every drive we do is a success because even if there aren't a ton of people who need to be registered, we get people, information about poll locations and information about mail-in ballots. And then we always get a couple people who we get to have conversations with and register. So I think everyone has been a success, and it's been a lot of them. So I think it's been pretty successful.
Good. Are you feeling hopeful with this election that's coming around the corner?
I want to say, yeah, I agree with Samaya. Even and I'll answer this question too. Like, even sometimes people say, you know, we might not get them registered because they say they don't believe their vote counts, or, you know, somebody said at the last registration Biden and Trump are the same. And then I mentioned to that person, like, it's not just the president that's on the ballot, and also the president controls just not only that seat, but other seats. And even though that person didn't end up registering, she did mention, she's like, oh, that's a good point. And she's like, yeah, I'm going to think about it. So it's like, we're not just trying to register people and get numbers, but part of our mission is to, like, change the culture. And so the conversations that we have are sometimes even more important than the registrations we get.
Yes. Yeah, listen, so you do realize that I have such great hope for young people such as yourselves who are stepping in the gap, who are becoming civic-minded, right, who understands what the legislative parts of the government are, and that we can educate our young people who wouldn't otherwise be engaged and involved into knowing why these elections are not only important, but getting them involved to the place where they decide to run for office. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Are you guys together? Because there's a hesitation between the two of you.
No, we're not together, so we always want to give each other a chance to speak first.
Yes, yes. So, are either one of you 18 yet?
Sadly, no. I'm literally going to miss this election by 9 days. Like, it really, I tell people that too. When they say, you know, I'm not going to vote, I'm like, I'm out here spending every little ounce of free time, which is barely anything, during my senior year, and I can't even vote.
Yeah, but you'll be able to vote in the next election, right? And there's an election every 2 years, sometimes every year depending on what's going on, but at least in the next couple of years you'll be able to vote, right? So pay attention to the leaders right now, and start to decide who do you want to vote for in this upcoming election and why. Wow. I'm so impressed with the both of you, though. How's the school year going?
This school year for me has been a lot of up and downs, and they just released the plan for, like, us to go back possibly after January. And, you know, when you're in school, it's like, oh, like, I hate it here. It's so much work. And then when you're out of school, it's like, I want to be in just a little bit. So.
So are you looking forward to going back in January?
I don't know. I hate to be so hopeless, but I'm living day to day at this point, and I don't really believe anything that the school district puts out or teachers tell me, because it just changes, and we really just don't know. So I'm just trying to enjoy the day to day. I feel like this voter registration work has definitely helped me get through this tough time, and, like, having a network, that's something that our team, like, offers to students too, because it's like you're not around your peers. Like, you can't have those small conversations on the side while the teacher's talking anymore. It's just you're sitting at a screen.
Right, right. You know, at the 2:30 hour, I'm going to have a parent on to talk about, you know, schools opening or not. Some school districts have been facing irate parents who are picketing, saying that they want their schools to be reopened, that they want full day of school, 5 days of school in the middle of a pandemic. And so I'm going to have a conversation with this parent at around the 2:30 hour. So you guys stay tuned and listen to that, because this should be interesting, right? We want what we want, but what are the ramifications of getting what we want, right? Because there's no action without an equal or greater reaction. So I love that you said you're taking it day to day, because that's the way we're supposed to live and figure things out, especially in the middle of such uncertain times, right? That is a key thing for any good leader, to take it day by day. Sometimes in leadership, you have to take it minute by minute, depending on what's going on, right? So both of you are doing quite well. When the elections are over, I would like to have you both back on to talk about the results, right? And what do you think that means for the country? Will you be able to do that for me?
That would be great.
Yes, I'm excited too. I'm looking forward to the day when I can meet both of you, because I love talking to you. Is school over for the day for you now?
Kind of. That's a funny question. I feel like it's just never over, especially with Zoom. Like, people, they think, oh, you know, this is vacation, and although I'm doing it from my house, I have like 2 times as many, like, meetings to do and group stuff. So for me, beginning. I have I literally have 7 Zoom calls on my schedule after this. Yeah.
Welcome to adulting. That's how we the adults feel. OMG. It never ends, does it?
We have a virtual track meeting at 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Double booked. Yeah, if you're double booked, I love it. Well, listen, here's a solid piece of advice that I am going to give you as an adult that has been adulting for quite a long time. Know your boundaries. Know when to say no, right? And it's okay to not be a part of every single thing. Choose what's most important to you, okay?
Yep.
All right. All right, you ladies, it's good talking to you. Shayla Street and Samaya Smalley, you have a good afternoon, okay?
You too.
All right. All right. Bye, darlings. How I love you. Love the young people. Okay. Let me read this before I take because I have some calls on the line. I got an email today from someone that works with, I got him, that works with Joe Biden's team, inviting me to show up tomorrow because President Obama, former President Barack Obama, is visiting Philadelphia tomorrow to campaign for Joe Biden. He will visit Philadelphia on Wednesday to campaign for Joe, his former vice president, and former Penn presidential professor of practice. The visit will be Obama's first in-person campaign event this election cycle, the Philadelphia Inquirer reported, aside from his address to the Democratic National Convention in August, which he delivered from the city's Museum of the American Revolution. Biden, who held a town hall in Philadelphia on Thursday in lieu of the canceled second presidential debate, is not expected to join him. He made me a better president, and he's got the character and the experience to make us a better country, Obama said of his former vice president during his DNC address. Details of the October 21st campaign stop are yet to be announced, the Inquirer reported. So I will be at least at one of those events because I got an invitation via email today. So thank you to the people who are reaching out to those of us who are in the press and inviting us to be a part of this. I had some gratitude there because you didn't have to do it. So I had to give them all my information, and I'll learn where it's going to be because they're still not telling us exactly where the locations are. But once I find out, I'll be at my location, and I will come back and report to all of you on Thursday, okay? That is Mother's promise. All right, let's see. Let's see. Oh, my Woody! Woody! Woody!
I think you must have forgot who loves you, baby.
Hi, Woody!
I think you must have forgot, but I had a young lady here and her husband. She's an author. I think you might have had her on your show if it was your show, Mr. Terry Murray. She wrote a children's book, and she dropped off several books for me to share with the children. And it's a beautiful, beautiful book. Illustrations are wonderful. It says, picture yourself, a children's career book, and it just has a bunch of different careers that a kid could be, and all they have to do is fill in their names after they learn to read the words. Fill their name into that particular occupation, and I thought that was great. And the children you just had on were wonderful as well because, you know, I like to watch things explode. I said when wisdom and knowledge come together, they create an explosion called understanding, and I watched you give them the steps toward gaining understanding. They're getting much knowledge, but once they start being able to get that understanding, then they can become a wise woman like Mother.
That's right. I was wondering what happened to you, Woody. You used to call me every week. I said to my husband, Woody's gone.
No. I wasn't gone. I try to listen every time you're on, no matter what. And I always think about the shows that you pick, and that's why I say I love the children because they're preparing to go to where you've already been.
Yes.
So I always tell kids that come in here, I said, look, make sure you remember that energy is energy is energy. It's how we direct energy. That's very, very important. So in the direction of energy, I always share with them that you should prepare yourself each day for something different that could happen to you at any given moment. So I want to share this with you. It's a couple of lines. It says, a preparation for a special moment in time. It says, the preparation for a special moment in time is to be free of all poisons of your mind, your body, and your spirit. By preparing to touch this moment inside of ourselves, we can then travel on that never-ending journey of eternity outside of ourselves. This is the true way of cleansing ourselves to experience the gift of God's freedom. This is the moment that turns on the key of your life to peace, love, and tranquility.
This formula becomes the roadmap to your destiny, and it will keep you on the right path to that one point that is God. And at the end, I always say, P.S., I'm just me, a part of the I am. So the I am is the all it is. So it wasn't that I was missing you too. That's why I'm so happy. I heard you talking to the other gentleman. I was going to call before you got off the air for sure. But I just want everybody to know that your program makes you motherly love, and I associate you with that. Like I told you, my mother was the greatest female I've ever had on the planet. But since she's gone now, guess what? I had to give you that name. So thank you so much for your program every couple of days a week that I get a chance to listen. I'm never not listening. It's just that I may get busy in the middle of the day, like I was just then sharing that lady's information, and she bought three or four books over here for me to share with the kids. So, anytime you get a chance to share with children, it makes you feel so much better.
Yeah. And there's a woman from Switzerland that I spoke to a few weeks ago from Switzerland who's sending you a box of books. So hang tight for that.
Okay. All the children's books, anything like that about teaching, because I want this barbershop to be a museum, and I want to share with the children that they can't know where they're going until they know where they came from.
Yes. Thank you so much, Woody. It's always great to hear your voice, okay?
Thank you, too. And I missed you also. I just want you to know that. Right. Tell your husband there's nothing wrong with loving you. He just needed to make sure that everybody loves motherly love. But I got my special place because I wanted to make sure you got that name, motherly love. You can call yourself mother all you want, but you motherly love to me, all right?
All right, Woody. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Ken from North Philly.
Hey,
Ken?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Okay, I'm good. I don't get a chance to pop in when I can, and so I was listening to the program.
Wait a minute, is this Ken from Beach Companies?
Yep, this is Ken from Beach.
How are you, sir?
All right.
What's going on?
Good. Hey, I was a couple of things. One, of course, I wanted to mention my good friend Earl Harvey, and just shocking, and now, sad. And but the one thing is, I always remind people, it's like, hey, while we're here, let your life speak for you, right?
That's right.
So that as you can see, what people say about you, and just let your life speak for you. And his life spoke volumes of his support and commitment to the black community and black business.
Yes, agreed. Agreed.
So that would be A. B, something crazy came up as, I'm trying to be as helpful as I can. Of course, Beach is nonpartisan, but me as individual of supporting and make sure, people get out and vote, and the importance, as these young people were saying, of trying to tell people all the time, they're like, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference. How do you, look at these judges and things. So what happened? So here we had someone recently tell me about, well, the economy, and I'm not sure that, Trump, and he might be better for the economy or whatever. So my father used to always say, don't worry about what people say, watch what they do. That'll tell you all you need to know. So just yesterday in the Senate in Washington, they had to have a hearing because they're trying to roll back the CRA credits. That's the Community Reinvestment Act. So they're trying to weaken the whole ideal, and of course that whole thing was put in place so that, people would have more access to capital as far as businesses, minorities, and housing. So here we have at the same time talking about the lack of capital going on. And, one of the programs we have is to give out the small business grants that we've been working on and giving them out, working with the other organizations across the state. And here we have the president weakening, his administration actually weakening the CRA Act, which provides, twisting the arms of banks to do lending in our communities. So
yeah.
It's like unbelievable. It's like cutting back. It's like eliminating health care during a pandemic.
Yeah, and knowledge is power, right? We keep telling people it's be careful the misinformation or the disinformation, because we hear how much this president has given to black people, and I'm still looking for someone like I am or like you who have spent so much time in the system and know exactly where the monies are going. I'm like, please tell me where exactly, right?
Yeah.
Where's the money going? So, and here he is rolling back the stuff. Now, that would actually help us in our communities. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about.
It's always helped us in our community since they've had it. I mean, at least you can put the pressure on banks to say, hey, you must do X amount of lending in these communities, and especially for mortgages. And that's just on the housing side, but also on the business side. And, of course, they're not doing nearly what they should be doing, but at least you have a hammer to say, okay, I can challenge this. I can take this to court. But of course, they're trying to weaken that and basically eliminate it in the long run.
Thank you so much.
That was B. But let me tell you about something crazy that happened. Speaking of the election, someone just called me today, one of the seniors. They ordered their mail-in ballot. The ballot comes. They started to fill it out, and they noticed, wait a minute, this doesn't look right. So they called me and called somebody at our office. And as it turns out, the ballot, they brought it around, it's from the primary. The ballot that was sent to them yesterday is the ballot from the primary in June.
What?
Yes. How could that happen?
And another person said that she got her ballot and it didn't have the ballot questions inside of it. So what I said to people was, please go straight to one of the locations and show it to them, right, so that you can get the proper ballots. This is insane.
This is insane. I mean, why would these ballots even still be available? Why weren't they destroyed after the primary? So I'm like, one more issue to worry about. So is this deliberate or is this just an accident? Why would these ballots be mailed out to someone from June's primary?
Right, yeah. Thank you so much. I'm going to address that stuff. But thank you for calling in. It's always good to hear your voice.
Yeah, always good to hear it. And always good. Well, hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Yes, sir. All right, bye-bye. I know I have some other callers, but just hold on for me 1 second, please. Let me take a quick break, okay? You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Joe Biden fought hard to pass Obamacare. It gave over 20 million Americans access to health care and protected people with pre-existing conditions from greedy insurance companies. But Trump and Republicans want to get rid of it. Even in the middle of a pandemic, we can't let that happen. Protect your health care. Vote Biden. Our lives depend on it.
Paid for by AFSCME People, which is responsible for the content of this ad. AFSCMEPeople.org. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Reverend Tyler, with November 3rd around the corner, do you know how you'll be voting this year?
Dr. Callahan, I requested my mail-in ballot, and I'm returning it the day it comes in the mail.
That's perfect, because we can't leave anything to chance this year.
Already received your mail-in ballot? You're just a few simple steps away from turning your mailbox into a ballot box. Here's how. After selecting your candidates, place your marked ballot into the small secrecy envelope and seal it. It's a 2-envelope process, so then you'll place the small secrecy envelope into the larger one. Make sure to seal that one too. Sign and date it, and then it's as simple as dropping it in your mailbox, no postage necessary, or returning it to your county election office. And if you still want to sign up to vote by mail or find out where to drop off your mail-in ballot, visit votespa.com.
I'm not waiting until November 3rd. I'm returning my mail-in ballot the day it comes in the mail.
Or you can return your ballot to your county election office.
I've got my plan. Make your plan to vote today.
Paid for by Power Interfaith.
As our nation battles a pandemic and economic downturn, the health and financial security of voters over 50 are on the line. That's why AARP Pennsylvania is fighting for your voice to be heard. From preventing cuts to Social Security, to protecting Medicare, to lowering prescription drug prices, you deserve to cast your vote on issues that matter to you, and AARP Pennsylvania is here to help. We want to make sure that you know all of your voting options and that all Americans, from working parents to family caregivers to seniors in nursing homes, can vote safely whether they choose to vote from home or in person. To learn more about how AARP Pennsylvania is fighting to protect voters 50 plus and how to make your voice heard this November, visit aarp.org/PA votes. Paid for by AARP.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM, WURDradio.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, we have been having some riveting conversation about voting, speaking with the callers. So, you know, Keturah Dior says, when all people around the current president says that Trump is a racist, listen to them. His attorney, Michael Cohen, and she puts up all these links here, his niece, and when he is supported by the top KKK Nazi white supremacists in USA, when he will still not back down from when evidence proves that the exonerated 5 are innocent of the rape of the Central Park jogger. And she puts up another link. But then she says, what makes it challenging to merely call Trump a racist is that some of the most damage he's done in his professional business career was what he did to white people with thousands of lawsuits, leaving destruction to small business owners, mostly whites, as well as people who trusted his lies with his fraudulent university. Those people are still living in the tri-state area. No black people here. He cheated so many people in his quest to make money, and even with all of that, he's now $500 million in debt to Russians. Nobody in the USA has loaned him money for a very long time. And that's one time, if you follow the news cycle, you'll start to see. Julia Jones says, I tell young people that I need them to be the next political leader, and young people need to learn civils, which has been lost in the Philadelphia school district. Yeah, it's you know, they're talking about politicians here in Philadelphia. Some of it is kind, some of it is not so kind. So I'm not going to read it. But let me go back to the Madeline. Are you there, Madeline? So we don't have Madeline on the line. All right, Celeste. Celeste, are you there, darling?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Oh, you're quite welcome. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I am good. It's always good hearing your voices. What can I do for you today?
Thank you. I know that some folks was concerned about whether their ballot was received and all that, but you know they can do the tracking on the internet as well.
Yes, they did. My husband did that, and it says pending, pending, pending. I heard from them within 48 hours of dropping mine off. His has been saying pending for now 2 weeks. And so when you call down there, right, that's been the...
You know, I received my mail-in ballot, but as I told you a couple of days ago, I actually took it in. I didn't mail it. I took it in on, what was that, last week or something like that. And then the very next week on Friday last week, they actually sent me an email because on those mail-in ballots, as you recall, there's a place where you can put your email. And they actually emailed me, but that they have received it. But I also went on tracking just to have double checking, and it does say there vote has been recorded. But of
so
course,
you're good.
Of course, it is disturbing to see a status that says pending.
Yes.
But now there was a space of a week between the time that I gave it in,
right,
and the time that they recorded it.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, Celeste, for calling and letting us know. Okay, I'm going to take a few other calls, but it's always great to hear your voice. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Bye-bye, Madeline.
Thank you so very much.
Hi, Miss Madeline.
I wanted to, and I know you're talking about a variety of things now.
Yes.
I wanted to just talk about the question on the ballot. There are
Which one,
4
ma'am?
questions, I believe.
Which one? I have them right here. Which one? The one about borrowing the money.
Number 4 about money. $134 million.
$1 million. Yes, ma'am. I have it right here in front of me.
Now, let me tell you what I think. I've been trying to say this for over 2 months since I saw the questions on the ballot, that we should vote no on that question. Why? Because I have heard children, young people come on, and them talk about people in the 11th grade reading on the 3rd grade level. Let me tell you, when I start to talk about it, my heart beats faster. I am furious that we have allowed these people to do our children the way they do them. You can't tell me our children can't learn. When I was 15, I had a baby. And when he was in the 4th grade, they're going to tell me he is slow because he's not going to read above an 8th grade level. You hear what I'm saying to you? They try to stop us. That just made me read to him more, have him read back to me. So, of course, then he was above. But they do this. We need our own school board, not so many votes for this one and that one. The citizens of Philadelphia, we need to pick our own. We're the only county in the whole state of Pennsylvania. And Philadelphia is meant to be the place where you send all the black people to and say, you coming north? Come to Philly. We got jobs, we got this. And, of course, they meant the bottom jobs. And that's what they meant, and that's what we got. And then when our boys went to war and came back, they built new housing outside the city limits. It wasn't for them. They didn't get none of them. They finally, after we almost got into a riot here, decided to let us use the GI Bill. Okay? So it's just been a difference all the time. And we need to understand that, every one of us. So what we need to do, in my opinion, if we vote no, if we can get enough people, it's pretty late now, to get enough people to vote no on that question. Why do we want them to vote no? Because $34 million would buy us some new schools or clean all the old leaded pipes out in our schools, clean the asbestos out in our schools, put air conditioners in our schools, and a filtering system that can circulate the air, okay? So we'll have healthy children. A part of our asthma stuff goes from our house to our schools. Number one. Number two, it's hard to get black people to want change, and I am surprised that when I talk to professional, and I'm a GED from OIC. Let me just tell you that to start with. And I love Sullivan, all his work. So, Mama, you got me. Every time I listen to you, you got something really good going on. Anyway, and I graduated, and he got me a job at the bank. 25 years. I retired in 1988. So I'm saying all that to say this. I have seen things go up and down, up and down. I thought we were going up in the 60s when we started to move some. And then in the 70s, they started with the part-time jobs and this and that. And then more drugs coming in. And, and if you watch some of these hearings, you know that some of these presidents was behind that people bringing the drugs in. And my opinion right now about all these guns all over this place comes from somebody named 45, who I think is demonic and cares nothing about anybody but his own self. And I mean nothing.
All
because
right. Well,
he put on the school board, know nothing about it, care nothing about housing. All he did is tell them what he wanted them to do. And that's what they pushed. And we've been going backwards. No music, hardly little Jim. No. I can remember.
We've lost. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Madeline. We have lost art. We've lost music.
Everything.
We've lost him. The children in the Philadelphia school district have lost so much, and we've taken it for granted. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So a lot of it is after
spend the whole day telling the kids to be quiet, please. And
yes.
taking those children, putting them together. It's awful. It is God awful.
Yeah, but we're gonna work it on.
And please vote no on those questions. And call your committee people. If you don't know your committee people, you need to go door to door till you find out who it is, and then you need to go to their door because you're going to run against them the next time. You young people have got to get out there and get busy and change this stuff around. We need new committee people. We need new ward leaders. Bob Brady needs to get his ass, Bob, you need to be gone, to have been gone. You should have went when Chaka went. You should have went the same place he went, only you could buy him out better. I keep telling you that you can't do what white people do. He's still walking around. Chaka done been in jail, and now he's out.
And office has been raided several times, and he's still out of jail. Yeah, I hear you. Listen, Miss Madeline, I got to go because I got a couple of other people I got to talk to before I go to break, okay? But thank you so much for always giving us your good advice and stories, okay?
Thank you, Dawn.
All right. Oh, you're welcome, my love. Bye-bye. Mary, are you there?
Yes, good afternoon, Andrea.
Good afternoon, madam. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. You know, I was listening to Maurice and George, and, you know, they're right. We have been treating these politicians as kings and queens in this country, and it's by their design. They submit legislation that benefits themselves. You know, they don't pay for their own medical care for themselves or their family members. We pay it, taxpayers. You know, and even state representatives in the city of Philadelphia, they don't pay for their medical care. And I have called for decades. It was Torzine. He was the speaker, a Republican speaker of Pennsylvania, Torzine. And from what I understand, he's out of office now. But, I mean, for everybody else to pay for their medical insurance, but yet you have them supposed to be representing us, they're not paying for theirs. You know, you are given a set salary, even as president, but yet they don't pay anything out of it. We provide them with everything. They don't pay into their pension fund. We pay their pensions for them for life. We do it for judges, and that has to stop. You know, when you're given a set salary, like all the workers, I was given a set salary, and I had to pay for my insurance, my 401k, everything like every other taxpayers and individuals in this country. But yet you have these politicians. That's why they rush to get in office, because they know that they're set for life. Who do you know if you never paid not 1 cent into a pension fund, but yet you get a six-figure pension every month? Come on, this is ridiculous, you know, and we need to stop this. You know, this is why we're bankrupting the country, because these policies are only benefiting them. And we need to take a look at it, and now we're going to get this new judge that Trump wants to appoint. It's going to be the same thing with her. She's not going to pay for anything for her family.
Miss Mary, let me ask you this. Because I'm asking everybody that calls. We see the plight in our communities. We see everything that's going on. How do we go from fussing about it to absolutely changing it? Because that's where I am now. I'm looking at the solutions to what the concerns are, right? And for me, the very first thing, Miss Mary, is that we have to stop being afraid. We have to stop being afraid to buck the system, stop being afraid to call things as we see it, right? And start lining up folks to run for office to do the kinds of things that need to be done. Because otherwise, 10 years from now, we're still going to be having the same conversation about these same people who have made themselves career politicians or career leaders, or they're sitting on board from the time Jesus was a boy until Jesus grew up, died, and came back again. You know, like, we have to figure out ways and then to shift policy that will, you know, move people out of some of these positions. You know what I mean? But there's a culture here. There's a culture here in Philadelphia, because when I talk about it, they'll say things about, well, we don't want to offend them. It's a radio station. Why are we concerned about offending people who are supposed to be serving the people? Did I miss something?
No, you have it correct. You know what it is? The people that we elect, and Boehner, when he was the Speaker of the House, he said he was going to have a training class for every politician. We need to do that for city council, because they don't know the laws. You know, the state supplemental insurance benefit was enacted in 1976. People were cheated out of their benefits all those decades because we had representatives in the city of Philadelphia and the state that failed to look at the laws that were in place, that people was cheated out of their benefits. They lost their homes, their livelihoods, because they were injured on the job, and they never looked at the law. So we need to make sure, if we elect these people, that they know what's in place. Yes. Just like I asked Kenyatta Johnson about to do it for my group. I mean, you're supposed to be representing the entire city. So that tells me when I see them not knowing the laws that's benefiting us, they don't need to be there. And they need to stop relying on aides that work for them, secretaries, or whoever they have in place. That's what's going on here. We being cheated, and we pay taxes, and we got people that basically ignorant to the laws of this city, this state, and this country.
Oh, Miss Mary, thank you, Miss Mary. You have a good one. All right. Listen, folks are fired up 2 weeks from this election. It's 2 weeks from the general election. All these people are running for office. I am going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back and talk about a subject that's going to make some people run for the hills, but we're going to talk about it. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Jefferson Health offers no-cost COVID-19 testing at St. Raymond of Pinafort Church. Testing is on Thursdays and Saturdays. For testing hours and more information, call 1-833-533-3463.
Listen to Laborers Live.
We created the weekend. We created the 40-hour work week. We just want enough to feed our family, be able to send our children to college, and let our next generation do better than we did.
To people that might have forgot how important unionism is in a country like the United States. People now infringing on our 8-hour work day, trying to work people more than 8 hours without overtime, trying to work people without benefits. In the long run, everybody's getting a fat paycheck except the worker. So this is really a wake-up call for America.
The struggle is continuous. Tune in to Laborers Live every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Sponsored by LESIT, the Laborers Employers Cooperation Education Trust of the Laborers District Council of Philadelphia and vicinity.
Local 332, Sam Staten Jr. Business Manager. Local 57, Esteban Vera Business Manager. Local 135, Dan Woodall Jr. Business Manager. Local 413, James Harper Jr. Business Manager. The Laborers District Council, Ryan Boyer Business Manager, and Tony Staten, Executive Director of LESIT.
Joe likes to say that character is on the ballot, and it's true. But let's be clear, this election is about building this country back better. And that's exactly what Joe and I will do. Bring back critical supply chains so the future is made in America. Build on the Affordable Care Act. And finally, offer caregivers the dignity, the respect, and the pay they deserve. We'll protect a woman's right to make her own decisions about her own body, root out systemic racism in our justice system, and pass a new Voting Rights Act that will ensure every voice is heard and every voice is counted. We have a chance to choose a better future for our country.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Jobs, entrepreneurship opportunities, small business resources, and financial literacy. Livelihood. The new initiative from WURD Radio to connect Philadelphians to resources to help take the next steps in their professional lives. WordWorks.com features career readiness tools, entrepreneurship resources, funding opportunities, and events to expand your livelihood. Visit WURDworks.com right now and take the next step in your professional journey. Livelihood is supported by the Nightland Fest's Local News Transformation Fund, Borealis Philanthropies Racial Equity and Journalism Fund, and the Solutions Journalism Network.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. Last night, just before heading to sleep, I decided to watch a show called Black Love on the OWN network. And there were two separate episodes, and both episodes were discussing COVID-19 and how it has negatively impacted these black couples and their families. And in one group, one woman was a police officer, her husband was a fire department firefighter in Detroit, Michigan. their 5-year-old daughter contracted COVID-19. The doctors at that point, at the very beginning, did not know anything about the virus, gave her the experimental drug, her brain swelled, and she ended up dying. She was not the only one. DJ Jazzy Jeff was on the air with his wife, and we were all talking about it. And so tomorrow afternoon, from noon to 1 p.m. on the Philadelphia Sunday Sun's website, we are talking about, how COVID-19 affects us and what's happening here. So this led into another conversation, because every time I get on the air, I discuss the surge, right? That this is really continuing to happen, that it has not gone anywhere. And so this morning, written by Maggie Kent and Catherine Scott and CNN Wire, Governor Wolf says that the fall COVID-19 surge has arrived in Pennsylvania and the U.S., and it says that they continue to soar across the country. And one top infectious disease expert warned Americans that the next few months will be the darkest of the pandemic. Health experts say the predicted fall surge is here, and rising cases across the United States appear to bear that out. The U.S. is averaging more than 55,000 new cases a day, and 10 states reported its highest single case counts on Friday. At least 27 states, including New Jersey and Pennsylvania, are showing an upward trend in the number of cases reported, according to a CNN analysis of data from Johns Hopkins University. The next 6 to 12 weeks are going to be the darkest of the entire pandemic, Michael Osterholm, director of the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy at the University of Minnesota, told NBC Meet the Press on Sunday. Osterholm highlighted that 70,000 cases of COVID-19 reported on Friday, which matched the largest number seen in the peak of the pandemic. Between now and the holidays, the United States will see numbers much, much larger than even the 67 to 75,000 cases, he says. Governor Wolf on Monday told Pennsylvania residents to stay vigilant and stay together on the fight against COVID-19. Now, why did I read that entire article to you, and why are we getting ready to have this conversation? Minding my business on social media, someone posted that Abington was on the news yesterday. Abington and Upper Merion were on the news yesterday with parents who were standing up outside the school, fussing and fighting that they wanted their children to be back in brick and mortar, not the hybrid model, 2 days a week where they would go in for a few hours. Now, look, there are pros and cons to all of this. And, as I watch the news unfold, it's not just Abington and Upper Merion. It's happening everywhere. Pennsbury, Lower Merion. Parents are fighting and fussing that they want their children back into school. My concern as a citizen and as a parent myself is, where do we draw the line? When did our children become easy collateral damage because we were tired of being home? Look, we all have COVID fatigue, right? It is something that none of us really want to talk about and deal with for long periods of time, but this is your child's life. You spend 9 months carrying them. You spend all this time getting them to the point where they could get to kindergarten. You work so hard to get them through high school, junior high school, and to college. And then what now? So on the line, I have with me Amy Martin, Rachel, and Jenna. All are from the Abington School District, who are going to talk to me about exactly what is going on there and where do they stand in all of this. Ladies, are you there?
We are. Hi, yes.
Hello. Hello. So let me start with Amy. Amy, tell Mother, what in the Sam Hill? Because I watched the news. I watched several news reports, and then there was an article that I wrote, that I put on my page, and I said, is this okay? Where do you stand in all of this, Amy?
Well, I would prefer that we remain fully virtual.
Okay.
And the reason that we have chosen to go this route, or actually we really didn't choose, this is what our school district has been doing. This is what's been dictated since September. But the reason why we will continue is because both myself and my husband are immune compromised. And it's just the safest route for us, as is my mother, who is also, at an age where she would be more susceptible, not to mention the fact that her immune system is compromised. So for us, it's just the safest way. And, so far it's been okay. I mean, everyone has had, their ups and downs with the virtual model. You could lose connection. All of a sudden, the laptop doesn't have any volume. Get kicked out of a Zoom. I mean, there's lots of factors in play from a technological standpoint. And what I was told by actually someone who was part of the technological department for Abington is that, the entire Eastern Seaboard is on Zoom, and their platform just wasn't meant to handle this kind of volume. So, they're kind of doing the best that they can in all directions. Is it the same as being in school and being with your teacher and being able to, get that real-time help and, being with your friends? And no, it's not the same. However, the takeaway is that we're safe. No one is sick. And we do our best to try to, have some social time for our kids in the safest way that we possibly can. Does this work for everybody? Obviously not. And, those of us who would like this plan to remain in place, it's not that we don't empathize with those parents who are struggling, whose children may be struggling with this model. That's not the case at all. And we would love for our kids to be able to go back when it's safe. And it's just not safe. Even what you said before we started talking, the cases are climbing.
They are.
Jersey is practically a quarantine state again. It's not safe. So, really our argument is not that we don't want people to be able to have what's in the highest and best interest of their family and their children. We just want the entire community to be safe.
Right. Rachel, where do you fall in all of this, sweetie? Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. I would say that I ultimately agree with Amy. I fully support schools reopening once it's safe, and me personally, due to the climbing number of COVID cases and the upcoming flu season, it's just not safe. I think that a lot of people are getting frustrated, because virtual learning is not easy at any age with any child or a number of children. But we have to remember how easily this virus spreads and how one case can affect an entire community within a matter of days or weeks.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Contact tracing is a real thing, right? And for those of us who have, and many of us have immunocompromised people in our families. So one of the concerns that I've always had, and I've said this to people time and again, you may feel okay. You may be asymptomatic, quite like we saw watching this television show last night, where the wife didn't have any taste and smell, but other than that, she was fine. Didn't have any breathing problems. Her husband almost died. Right? Because we just don't know. And then she gave it to her baby girl unintentionally, and the baby died. So there's a lot that's going on that we still don't know about this virus. And so for me to watch people get so angry that they show up to picket a school district because they want their children back in school 5 days a week in a brick and mortar building, what about the teachers? What about the teachers that are immunocompromised and their families and their families? You know what I mean? So where's the sacrifice?
Absolutely.
You're taking all of our points.
Listen, but it makes absolutely no sense to me. If I am taking all the precautions and I go out there and someone gives me COVID-19 and I bring it back into my house and if my husband gets it, my husband will die, without a doubt. Without a doubt, my husband will die. So it makes absolute sense that we spend time and think of other people and ourselves. So if we're feeling, disenfranchised and our children are tired of being in front of the, because I watched the news report, our children are so tired of being in front of the computer and they need to get fresh air. When you finish your classes for the day, go get some fresh air. But the fact of the matter is, this is not okay for thousands of people to die so that your child can get some fresh air. Right?
One of the times that drove me crazy was I miss my friend. I said, yeah, you think? I miss my friend. I haven't seen my friend since
right, there you go.
Yes, that's the thing. And
sacrifices. This is a public health crisis.
Right.
And what are the lessons that we're teaching our children when we put them on the air and tell them to say things like this? So we get on the air and we show up at a school building screaming and ranting. Let me take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk some more about this, because this is something that we must discuss. It's not just happening in Abington. You are just a microcosm. And I notice that it's always a small group of parents, right? And those small group of parents are the ones that are bullying everybody else, threatening folks because they want what they want. Well, what about the larger collective? Whatever happened to thinking about other people and yourself? Give me a second. I'll be right back, okay? You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Everyone has a different journey to their vote, but we all take the same steps. If you want to vote, register by October 19th. If you want to vote by mail, apply now and mail your ballot back as early as possible, before November 3rd. Or bring it to a satellite election office. If you want to vote in person, go to your polling location on November 3rd. However you want to vote, we'll help you find the way. Visit PhiladelphiaVotes.com.
Hello?
Hey, you've been on my mind, so I'm just calling to check in.
Oh, we're holding up well here in Pennsylvania. Just trying to stay safe and figuring out if we should vote in person or by mail. We like going to the polls.
Yeah, you never miss an election.
And you know we're not missing this year either, and neither should you. But which way is the safest?
Well, remember that valuable information you got from AARP about COVID-19? Mom even had me read it.
Yeah, that was good info.
AARP has up-to-date voting information for 50-plus voters in every state. It's right there at aarp.org/election2020.
Oh, I got it. aarp.org/election2020. I love having the answers before your mama.
Pops, you know what happens when you try to show out.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Hi, my name is Dr. Blake. If you're out there with residual baby fat and you want that waistline back, Smart Lipo Laser is for you at Blake GI Med Spa Services. It is affordable, minimally invasive, minimum discomfort, minimum downtime, and no loose skin. You will see results in 24 hours. Give us a call at Blake GI Med Spa Services today, 215-849-4902.
WURD Radio presents the following information to help you navigate the upcoming election.
This is Charles Ellison, host of Reality Check on WURD. Are you a Philly area voter who received your mail-in ballot but suddenly decided you want to vote in person? If you return your complete ballot to the county election office by October 27th, you may not vote in person on Election Day. However, if you don't return your complete mail-in ballot to your county before October 27th, you can go to a polling place, surrender your unvoted ballot and voter's declaration envelope, sign a statement, and vote on the machines. Keep following us at onWURD on Twitter, Facebook.com/4WURD, and #WordOnPolitics for constant updates on Election 2020. And remember, vote early.
Stay informed and vote. For more from Charles Ellison, tune in Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. or visit WURDradio.com. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Independent Black Media.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. If you're just joining us, I just read a piece from Governor Wolf from 6ABC, where Governor Wolf says that the cases of COVID-19 is on the surge, it's on the rise, and I spoke about a news report that happened yesterday that spoke of Abington School District in Upper Merion, where parents were picketing and demonstrating because their children missed their classmates and they got tired of sitting in front of computer screens and they want to go back into the brick and mortar, and they want to they have told their children to boycott school so that they can get what they want. I have on the line with me 3 Abington parents, residents, Amy Martin, Rachel, and Jenna. And we're in the process of having a good discussion around what are our children's lives worth and how do we manage around this pandemic that so many people don't seem to realize yet it's still a pandemic. Ladies, thank you for staying on the radio, on the air with me. Jenna, let me talk to you for a second. Are there people who are saying that this is much ado about nothing, or do they believe the pandemic really exists and they still want to send their children to school?
You know, Andrea, it's hard to say because I I agree with you, right? So it's hard for me to get into the mindset of the other side, although we are very much trying to understand where they're coming from so that we can come to some sort of agreement on just how to keep our teachers and our children safe. Safety just has to be the number one priority here. Like you said, we have to make sacrifices. We're in the middle of a public health crisis, a global pandemic, and it's only getting worse in our area. Just my priorities right now are not, my kids seeing their friends. I'm sorry. And Abington is doing a great job of providing them a quality virtual education.
Yeah, I have been following it too. Again, because, you all know that I lived in Abington for 20-something years. So what happens there continues to be something that I keep my eye on at all times. But really, truly, Abington is one district in many. And I noticed that the parents that are complaining that they want the brick and mortar are small in numbers. What do you want to say to those family members? If you had your druthers, what would you say to those family members as a direct result of what they're talking about? Because there's the other thing. We keep pushing our school districts into the news for things like this. Like, this is not, hello. If a teacher was raping a child, yes, I could see us going to the news. If something else huge was happening, but you literally went on the news to say your child was tired of not seeing their friends, and you were tired of having them in front of a computer screen, and you needed them to have fresh air, and you needed them to be back in the brick and mortar. And you never once said, if they said it, it did not end up on the news. You never once said we're concerned about the other children in school. You never once said we're concerned about the teachers, and you never once said you were concerned about the other families that may be impacted by your wanting what you want. What is the lesson that we're teaching our children here? Who wants to answer that? Because, I could go on for days about this.
Andrea, if I could just interject really quickly, and then I think, Rachel, I would love to hear your point about the services that we could offer struggling families. I was at that original rally where those parents were out there with those signs. I felt like I had to show up to show the news that the few loud voices were not the only voices there. So I singularly was there to represent the other side, and I did not hear any of those things either. When the news asked me what I was interested in, it all comes down to safety and thinking about others, like you said. So I don't know about those individual people. It's very stressful, and it sounds like they are letting that stress and fear possibly cloud their empathy. And that's what we all need to do right now, is think of our fellow man and get through this together.
Rachel?
I completely agree, Jenna. I think that empathy is the key word here that is lacking right now, not throughout just our community, but several communities. It broke my heart at that rally to see the children out there with signs protesting virtual learning. I think that we as parents, it's our job and our responsibility to teach our children to not only trust and believe in our teachers, but have respect for them and respect for the job that they're doing. And it's certainly not an easy job doing it virtually. A lot of the families who are struggling with fully online virtual learning have concerns and complaints regarding their child's mental health. Well, I can say firsthand that Abington has amazing mental health resources available to any child in any school. All you have to do is reach out. They partner with several different agencies throughout the area. A lot of them offer school-based services, meaning that it'll be in the middle of the school day. So whenever, things do go back to the new norm, whether that's hybrid or full 5-day, it'll still be in the middle of the day if that's your choice of preference. So you don't have to, make and run appointments after school or whatever. But there's options out there. There's definitely resources out there that Abington offers, specifically regarding mental health, and as well as communicate with the teachers. I offered my daughter's teacher the suggestion of, if the kids are good, biweekly, have a dance party Friday at the end of the day in Zoom. Put some music on. Let the kids, have the chat open and let them do their thing for 5 or 10 minutes. And you would be surprised just how energetic that gets them and how excited that gets them for the weekend. And it actually makes them feel a part of a classroom versus just sitting there and being talked to. I mean, again, I don't believe it's safe for schools to open yet, but I'm more about finding solutions than talking about the problem. And the fact is, right now we are still virtual, so we should be focusing on, okay, what can we do to make virtual better until it is safe for schools to reopen?
Oh, Lord have mercy. Have you reached out to the other side at all?
I've tried, and when I personally tried, I was shut down. I personally got the sense that they are just so frustrated. They're so understandably frustrated that, you know, unless you are saying what they want to hear, they don't want to hear it. And I get it, because when we're talking about your child, you know, it gets personal. It gets very emotional. But at the same time, again, I think that's where that empathy comes in. So, yeah, that's been my experience, at least trying to converse with some of the others.
Right. So, Amy, have you tried?
Well, I have a lot of friends who would love for their kids to go back to school and feel as though, you know, it's a risk they'd be willing to take to a degree, you know, that they feel comfortable and confident in whatever plan would be put forth, and that their families would do better going back. And so we don't agree, but we've had civil conversation. We've been able to, you know, talk about each other's points of view and pros and cons. And, you know, with my friends, I haven't had an issue having those kinds of conversations.
Right.
Obviously, there are other people that, you know, don't necessarily think that what I have to say is important, and think that, you know, if it's fine, if this is what my family wants to do, that's fine, and keep your family home and, you know, stay out of our way. That's, you know, that's not necessarily what I'm trying to do in any way, shape, or form. Like, the word empathy continues to come up, and it's definitely a big piece for me as well, not just in talking about this, but, you know, in our society in general, that I do feel for them. And I understand that because it is such a struggle for one reason or another, that, you know, tunnel vision has set in, and this is all they can think about. And they're not really able to hear other perspectives, and how, you know, opening up the schools, as we see every day, there's another article about another school who opened up, and, you know, 2-3 weeks later, they're shut down.
Because
So
New York is
inevitable.
experiencing that. Yeah, and New York is experiencing that right now, right? And
I mean, so is that worth, I guess what I'm trying to understand is it worth opening up the schools for a part-time hybrid program just to have to shut it all down another couple weeks later, and whatever system, you know, you've attempted to put in place when they go back, the hybrid, you know, that's it. It's all for naught, because everybody's home again for another, you know, 2 to 4 weeks. So I don't know. It just seems like a lot of upheaval. The children are, you know, who are already struggling. Why do that on top of everything else? Or at least just, if somebody else has mentioned, you know, I can't remember if it was Jenna or Rachel, can we just get through cold and flu season and, like, see where we're at after that? I mean, originally we were supposed to wait and not talk about this until the end of November. But, and I do want to mention, I think that we are probably in the minority. I think that probably more people than not want to have their children go back to school. And they have had their voices heard on the news, in print. And so, you know, our group, after watching this and listening to this for the last few weeks, just felt like, you know, I think that we would like the public to hear from our perspective as well. You know, we're not the bad guys here. We just have a different point of view.
Right. You know what's so interesting? If people had done, and I say people generally, if people had taken the necessary steps and sacrifice by everybody following the protocols, wearing the masks, doing everything that they were supposed to do from spring into the summer, we wouldn't be in another resurgence. You know how I know? China has gone back up into doing what they were doing. Everybody in there, they locked down certain parts of the country, made sure that people were getting better. They have not had any real outbreak anywhere, and their economy is growing again. Here in America, we kind of want to do what we want to do and expect a virus that is not answering to a soul to just go away and do what we tell it to do, right? We don't have a vaccine, and the cases continue to surge. Look at that. New York is discouraging travel to Pennsylvania because of Pennsylvania's rising COVID cases. See what I mean? And so folks don't understand that when we go from place to place and we're leaving wherever we go, where contact tracing is happening, I don't get it. If we would just sacrifice on this end, those children would be back in school by spring. But we don't want to do that, right? We don't want to wear our masks. We're still having parties. And I'm not telling you don't have your parties for your children. What I'm saying to you is whether they're outside or indoor, let them keep their masks on. That 2 to 3 seconds of them speaking to one another and all of that is spewing out. You know, next thing you know, your child is sick. When did it become acceptable for our children to become sick for our comfort and convenience? I've had parents say to me, my child is bored at home. They want to go and have a sleepover at such and such a house.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm incredulous. Like, are you kidding me?
I had my husband say to me the other day, you know, well, I guess they just need, you know, the X number of kids in school to get sick, and, you know, maybe that will do it. And I said, babe, I wish that I could believe that, but look at Sandy Hook. That wasn't enough for us to stop. So I'm scared. I'm scared for our kids.
But that's exactly what they're doing. That is exactly what they're doing. There was a whole big report. Usually nurses and doctors don't come on the air. Wisconsin is inundated right now, right? Because there was a Sturgis motorcycle thing that happened from August 9th to the 17th, a 10-day thing. These people came to South Dakota and then spread back out to wherever they came from. Wisconsin is buckling right now. Can't do school, and I don't think people understand that, right? It may not seem like it's much because where you live, you feel nice and comfortable. But the minute it starts to take a hold and so many people are getting sick at once and the hospitals are inundated, then what do? Did anybody think about the nurses and doctors that would have to sit there while the children are dying, or your mother and father is dying, or we're dying? Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
You're preaching.
Jeez Louise. And so are these people watching the news and thinking, oh, well, it can't happen here? Because we cannot be that cognitively dissonant. We just cannot be, right? This thing has been taken.
Americans we're ingrained in most of us, a lot of us, is this idea that you can't tell me what to do. And it's so frustrating because it's not about that, right? It's about our safety and getting a hold over a global pandemic. It should be a patriotic thing to wear your mask, right? Help your fellow American, not this defensive BS.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I had a parent from Abington just text me. She said, as a nurse and parent, my children will remain hybrid. I don't want to put my children or friends at risk. Parents, be responsible parents. Have a blessed day. Wash your hands and wear your mask. That's the other thing, right? We've been out here using Lysol wipes. We don't even know what the end result of Lysol is going to be on our skins because we've been using so much of it. So hand washing in soap is still the best way. And literally, that's how we kill this germ, right? Cover our faces so that we don't spread it all over the place and wash our hands. And if we would do that consistently and teach our children to do it consistently, we wouldn't be sitting here having a debate over the lives of our children that we think it's okay for enough of them to die for herd immunity. Whoever. I carried my children for 9 months at a time. Literally. Do you think I would put them at risk? Who thinks like this? Oy.
I agree. We're with you.
Yeah. So, you know, I want you all to keep me posted on what's going on there. I know that when some parents dig their heels in Abington and in other school districts, that they can get vicious about it. So let me know if anything comes up, if you feel threatened, because I've seen it happen time and again, right? Keep me posted because I will be on this airwaves talking about it. I am not, listen, we are going to have to do something and speak up on behalf of these children. I'm not playing the games. We're just not. All right? Thank you all so much for calling in. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we get off the air?
I think it's good to have you in our corner, and thank you for the voice. And my daughter said to me the other day, you know, we're 30 days into school, and that hit me. You know, we're only 30 days in. That's not a long time. Kids are more resilient than you think. give the kids, the parents, the families time to settle into this new routine, we can do it. We can do this, and we can keep everyone safe.
Yes, agreed. Anyone else would like to add?
I think the only other thing I would like to say is that, the school district, the administration is extremely open to hearing and listening to parents, their points of view, what they're experiencing, what's working, what's not working. They are, in my opinion, they are trying to do their best to make this work for everyone. The plan that they did come up with, they attempted to, bring equity to the plan as much as possible. Unfortunately, the way it was laid out, just nobody liked it at all. But it's not, not for not trying. They are doing their best. And I think that parents that are struggling, really, there seems to be a lot of resources. I'm not sure, if those parents are having a hard time reaching out, if they're not getting the help they need. But from what I've been told, it's there. So I just hope that those parents will find a way to access help for their children if they need it, for themselves, whether it's mental health or just tutoring to a degree or something else. But it seems as though it's there for the taking if they just look for it. So I do hope that that's something that people will realize, and the school district will continue to send emails to let people know what's available, and that we got to stick this out for a little while longer, and make sure that we don't create a situation we can't come back from. And I mean, not to be blunt, but I guess to be blunt, you can't teach a dead child. So
how about that? How about that? You can't teach a dead child, and wearing a mask should be as natural as wearing a seatbelt right now, right?
I agree. And the last thing I would like to add is that it saddens me again, but a lot of people are looking at the resiliency rates of the COVID disease. However, it only takes one. It only takes one in your family. It only takes one in your community. And for me, it's not worth the risk. I'd rather not lose anybody in our community, anybody in our school district, anybody in anybody's family.
Absolutely.
So let's continue to do what we can to stay safe. And to piggyback off of Amy, the school administration is very open to listening to concerns and questions. There are resources out there for students who are struggling with specific subjects or just the whole virtual learning online. You can make an appointment to come in and actually speak with one of the counselors or psychologists to talk to your school, to talk to your student. I mean, if they're anxious or, having whatever type of feelings, the resources are there. Just reach out. Just because we're virtual does not mean we are no longer together.
Absolutely. Just have to adjust. A word that a lot of people don't seem to like very much these days. Thank you so much, Amy Martin, Rachel, and Jenna. I appreciate your talking to me. Please keep me posted on what's going on over there, okay?
Will do.
All right. Have a good one. Oh, you're quite welcome. Bye-bye. Let me just tell you. Let me tell you. This is why I tell folks all the time, when you are in these situations and you're in these school districts and you run for school board, that these are the kinds of issues that you're going to have to deal with from time to time. There are some parents who don't care about anybody but what they want. And they are a part of the community and the school district too. But you cannot allow a small group of people. And if you are willing to allow your children to be collateral damage, don't allow that. Don't take it out on other people. Think about the teachers that are teaching your children, right? And what that means for them. And quite frankly, a part of the conversation I'm having tomorrow is, while there are way more people that are surviving coronavirus, COVID-19, the long-term after effects are devastating. And people end up needing new lungs, new kidneys, and yes, people, that's children too, right? Where it's affecting their hearts, where their hearts are swelling up weeks after they get over the virus and you think they're okay. So listen, we still don't know. It's a virus that is so completely unknown that we cannot afford to play Russian roulette. And forgive me, that's the thought that came to mind. I don't mean to use it as a pun. You don't want to play roulette with your children's lives or your own or that of the people that you love. So if you don't want to think about everybody else, think about yourselves. You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
COVID-19 impacted a lot of things this year, including regular vaccination appointments. Vaccines help protect you and everyone around you, especially during flu season. Schedule an appointment with your healthcare provider today to make sure you and your children are vaccinated. Vaccines keep us safe, and they work. Skip the flu this year. Get your vaccination today. Let's stay protected together. For more information, visit health.pa.gov, paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Joe likes to say that character is on the ballot, and it's true. But let's be clear. This election is about building this country back better. And that's exactly what Joe and I will do. Bring back critical supply chains so the future is made in America. Build on the Affordable Care Act. And finally, offer caregivers the dignity, the respect, and the pay they deserve. We'll protect a woman's right to make her own decisions about her own body. Root out systemic racism in our justice system. And pass a new Voting Rights Act that will ensure every voice is heard and every voice is counted. We have a chance to choose a better future for our country.
I'm Joe Biden, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Biden for president.
Solutions on Word. Hosted by Dwayne Royster and Amadi Braxton. Solutions on Word. Exploring solutions to national, state, and local issues through the lens of race and gender. Solutions on Word. Fridays 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. Exclusively on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Solutions is sponsored by Power Interfaith Movement, working towards life, liberty, and democracy for all.
Hello, I'm former Mayor John Street.
And I'm Mayor Street's son, Senator Sharif Street.
You know, I've been out here fighting for what's right for a long, long time, but I can't think of an election more important than the one that's happening right now.
We all know we have to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but we also have a couple of hometown heroes that we need to elect.
Nina Ahmad served as the City of Philadelphia Deputy Mayor, and it would be a welcome change to have a strong woman of color go to Harrisburg to fight for all of us.
We also have working class hero John Kane running for state senate. He's a blue collar guy ready to fight for better paying jobs and accessible health care. I'd love to have John Kane join me in the state senate.
This election is just too important. So when you go out, vote for Joe and Kamala.
Don't forget to vote for Nina Ahmad for Auditor General and John Kane for state senator.
This message is paid for by the Friends of Sharif Street.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Welcome back to The Source. I had 30 minutes left and decided to use it for another great conversation because you do know here education is huge for mother. And so anytime we have an opportunity to highlight what's happening on that sphere, we go for it. So I heard from Sharif El-Mekki, and I have two new guests on. The Philadelphia Community Stakeholders is a group made up of African-American community leaders, business leaders, union leaders, and elected officials from across the city of Philadelphia. The purpose and work of the group is to develop and execute a collective aid agenda that positively impacts the African-American community. Sandra Dungy Glenn is the former chairperson of the School Reform Commission and is a current member of the Pennsylvania State Board of Education. She's currently serving as the program director for the PCS Learning Pods and Parents Resource Center and is on the executive committee of the Philadelphia Community Stakeholders. Dawn Chavou is the president and CEO of Chavou Consulting LLC, a management consulting firm specializing in areas of strategic planning, fundraising, event planning, and public relations. She has been working with the Philadelphia community stakeholders since the group started and has been a part of the education working group that helped design and implement the PCS Learning Pods and Parents Resource Center. Ladies, good afternoon and welcome to The Source. Are you there? Hello? Michael,
Hello.
where are they? Oh, well, there we go. We have.
Hi.
With whom am I speaking?
This is Dawn.
Hi, Dawn. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having us on your show today. This is very exciting.
Oh, you're so welcome. Is Miss Glenn there? Sandra Dungy Glenn there?
This is Sandra, yes.
Hello. All right, so now that I have you both on, tell us about these pods. Let us know all about it and how we can serve children with it.
Thank you so much. So I think the first thing we'll do is just talk a little bit about how we arrived at today with this amazing grand opening and ribbon cutting that occurred earlier this morning. The Philadelphia Community Stakeholders is a group convened by Sam Staton Jr. and Ryan Boyer. They put this group together a few years ago to create a network of diverse Black leaders who represent different industries throughout the city of Philadelphia, all with the goal of addressing and improving the quality of life for Black people in our city. Through the convening and collective work of this group, we've tackled many issues, including but not limited to additional funding for gun violence prevention programs, redlining, equity in access to high-quality educational options for kids, and advocacy for increased diversity needed in the field of mental health providers. And so when COVID happened and the global pandemic started in March of this year, we did a lot of work to support the Black Doctors COVID-19 Consortium to get additional funding to provide free testing. But we also felt that there was a strong need to support children and families because they were out of school since March. And so, and I'm a parent myself, so I'm living the experience as we're also helping families in need today. So I'd like to turn it over to Sandra, and she'll talk a little bit about the working group that we put together and what just occurred this morning.
All right, let me know.
So absolutely. So I think Dawn kind of gave you the right tee up to it. So back in March and moving into the spring, one of the things that became clear very quickly is, like many things that happen that are negative in our society, this issue, the pandemic, was hitting the Black community disproportionately hard. We had the higher rates of death and infection and the job loss and business closures, and then schools closed. So it was overwhelming for our families. And neighborhoods and school and families that were already struggling really were pushed into crisis. And so we just really felt that no matter what schools did, there was more help needed for children and for families if we did not want to see fall further behind. And I'll just give you this little piece of data. Even before the pandemic, and I know, Sister Andrea, you talk about education a lot. Before the pandemic, Black children, almost 7 out of every 10 of our Black children here in Philadelphia in elementary and middle were already behind grade level in reading. That's before the pandemic. And so the pandemic has only made this crisis bigger and deeper. There was the problem of the loss of learning time on top of the fact that many parents still had to go to work and they needed safe places for their children to do this virtual learning. And parents needed help figuring out how to navigate all this. As we looked at what the needs were, we really tried to figure out what could the community do to step into the gap. And so this working group that was made up of educators, and we didn't care if they were from charter schools or the traditional public schools or Catholic schools, we brought everybody around the table. And the model that we formed that would provide a safe space to support children with their virtual learning. It would provide supplemental lessons, especially on math and literacy, to help close the gaps, the learning gaps. It would provide a resource for parents to help answer questions that they had around their children's learning, but also to help them with other things going on in their lives, whether there was housing or jobs. So it's just a general resource for parents. And then the final piece was there was a lot of stress and anxiety and trauma that was really presenting itself in our community. And so we also felt it was important to have somebody from the behavioral health field as part of this learning setting. And so what we've developed was a model that is providing a space Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And we have a pilot in West Philadelphia at Bible Way Baptist Church. We can service up to 30 children in grades kindergarten through 5. And it's those 4 things that we offer. It's staffed by trained professionals. And so children come in and log into their regular school day for their school. But now there are 2 adults to every 10 children who are helping them navigate their online learning and giving them the support and encouragement to make sure that they actually are showing up for it. The second thing is part of our day is focused on the supplemental lesson. So as we identify where our children are lagging with reading or with math, we're giving them the supplemental lessons that will help them catch up. We have a full-time person, a program coordinator, who works directly with their parents, calling them pretty much every day about their children coming to the center, but also, again, identifying, because we're seeing some things as our children come here. We see some needs, and so we're helping the parents navigate how to get help for that. And then our therapist is with us a set number of hours per week, and he is observing our children and is there to be the link and the referral for our families and the children when they need special additional help with social emotional needs. So those are the pieces of the Learning Center. Today was our ribbon cutting. We have a group of children that started with us last week, and we're continuing to add to that group till we get up to our 30, which we expect to do over the next couple of days. And then we are just going to continue to support these children, to provide, a caring place for them to be. And our goal is to show that this works and then to see it replicated. We're hoping to have up to 10 sites around the city as we go through the next several months. So that's what the Learning Pod and the Parent Resource Center is. And it took a lot of partners to make this happen. And Dawn can talk to you about some of those partners, but that's what we're here. That's this. Do you have any questions about it?
Yeah, so here is my thought. As someone who has lived in a suburban school district for 27 years and raised both my sons there, what you just described was a suburban school learning. That should be a right for every single child. And so what you're going to find is that parents are going to clamor to get their children into this pilot program, and if you'll have 10 sites around the city. Is there a way to upscale this? Do you have the funding to upscale this as parents start to latch on to it, is what I'm asking you.
Not yet. We were able to open this site, and remember, this was something that we were able to start on in a very serious way in August. And so in 2 months, we were able to bring it to fruition.
Yes.
Two primary funders, the Patricia Kine Foundation, and then one of our donors wants to be anonymous. So they have underwritten the programmatic cost for the pilot. And then the Goldenberg Development Group came alongside us, and they have outfitted the facility here at Bible Way. So it's only if we are able to move as quickly as we can find the resources to do it. And so it's going to take some private money, public money. We have some of our members in city council and the state legislature who are trying to put the resources together for them. We're reaching out to corporations. We're meeting with other foundations. But that's what it's going to take, because the cost of this, what we figured out is we're going to be spending about $13,000 a child over a school year. But that's the piece, that's the gap between what they spend in districts like Lower Marion and what we spend here in Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
So we have to face up to the fact that we have to invest that amount of money in our children. It's got to come one way or another. So we're afraid of asking for that money, but it's just going to be a matter of finding a number of folks who are willing to step up to the plate to support it.
And quite frankly, in this city, hold on one second, Dawn, and I'll get to you in a hot second. Let me just say this as it's in my head, because Mother is old. In this city where they're looking for qualified employees, where they want the young people to be able to go to college and then come back and work in industry here, it makes sense that the private and public and nonprofit people come together and say, let's invest in these children, because they will come back here to get the kinds of jobs needed and necessary to keep us moving and going as businesses, because it all plays out in the end if we do this the correct way, right?
And if we don't do it, we're going to pay the cost.
Absolutely, which we're doing now.
The jobs that you're talking about, our children need at least 2 years of education beyond high school to be ready for the careers and jobs that they have to move into. And if they don't get it, what is the source? They will then become the expendable throwaways that we see too often now. And we just can't allow that to happen. And so we have to step up and fill in the gap.
I so agree. Dawn, you had a point you wanted to make?
Yeah, I just wanted to actually emphasize what you just said, because this is really a perfect example of what happens when you have community members, corporate business owners and executives and philanthropy coming together to address a need in our community. And if we do not invest in our children, then where will we be? And I just wanted to also acknowledge, in addition to the Goldenberg Group, People Helping People Foundation, who helped underwrite the cost of the facility to get it properly outfitted, I also wanted to recognize ShopRite Supermarkets, operated by Brown's ShopRite, as well as the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. They've been providing the snacks, the breakfast, and the lunch meals. This program is totally free. The Four Seasons Hotel provided book bags and the school supplies, including headphones for all of the children, so that they could listen and hear their virtual learning program. Cisco Systems came in and provided the internet connection. West Powhatan Development Corporation donated 600 masks and hand sanitizer. And so it's just been a really, and the West Philadelphia Financial Services Institution provided additional funding. So it's just been a really great collaboration of businesses, foundations, organizations, individuals all coming together. And this is just an example of what can happen when we are working on one accord. And I also do think we need to acknowledge, as Sandra did, some of our elected officials, because in order to, shape this program, we had a theory, but then we talked to several parents and caregivers and constituents, over 4,300 people, through the partnership of our local state senators who partnered with us to host 4 tele-town hall meetings. And in those conversations with Senator Hughes, Senator Anthony Williams, Senator Haywood, and Senator Sharice Street, during those conversations we had with their constituents, we learned what type of needs and support families needed to be provided with. And so that helped us design what the Parent Resource Center was going to look like, what type of hours we needed to be able to provide for children, what type of additional services we needed to give. And so, this has just been, a collective effort. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that. And as a parent, I got a call asking to be a part of a pod. It costs $400 a week. I don't have $400. Most families in Philly don't, and so being able to provide this service for free at no cost is really, something that's very significant, and we're hoping that we're able to replicate it so that more children and families can participate.
Yes. All right. So I have Cynthia on Winfield. She has a question for you guys. Cynthia, you there?
Yes. How are you? How's everybody?
I'm good.
Good. I have 2 questions. The first one is, how would a person apply for a position there? I'm a substitute teacher. And secondly, how would a parent get their kindergarten or first grader into the program?
Wow.
I can hang up and listen.
Okay.
Okay.
Those are great questions. So you can definitely apply for positions because we are still looking for qualified people and we are still enrolling. All you need to do is go to pcslearningpods.com. Again, pcslearningpods.com, where you can actually see all of the job descriptions that are available and the job openings. You can also get the registration application for your child. And so definitely want to encourage anyone that is interested in participating or enrolling in the program to definitely visit our website.
So that's pcslearningpod.com, correct?
Pod with it, yes, plural, pod. Yes, .com.
That I asked. All right, pcslearningpods.com. I'm going to put it in the social media space too, so that, Lord, maybe I shouldn't. You're going to have more than you need. But that's a good problem to have, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is. And let me also give you our telephone number, just in case people don't have access to the Internet. You can also reach us at 267-702-3448. Again, the number is 267-702-3448.
3448. Wow. I would love for you all to come back on and let me know how you're doing and if you've gotten additional funding. Did you talk to Comcast? See?
They're on the list. But you know what? We are not going to be stuck on any particular individual company or anything else. As you've learned, it's like, by any legal means necessary, we want to move this forward. And I think the final lesson is that we have the power to solve our problems.
Yes,
when we put our collective minds together and our collective will together, there isn't anything that we can't overcome. So You know, we don't want to just talk about it. We do want to be about it, and we're not going to let anybody stand in the way of it.
And this is what makes me so happy, because you just provided the solution by coming together and working on behalf of the young people. So Sandra Dungy-Glenn and Don Shavu, thank you both so much for this last minute. I mean, we literally put this together the last minute, and it was great. It turned out to be something wonderful, and you're providing a much-needed resource for children and families and working together as community leaders, which is something I love to see. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Okay?
You too.
Oh,
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You are listening to The Source, 96.1 FM, 900 AM. Now, see, I was over here choking. Marva, I had my throat got dry and tickly. I couldn't stop coughing, but you didn't hear me because I learned how to turn my microphone off. 96.1 FM, 900 AM, streaming live on WURDradio.com. Follow us on all social media platforms at onWURD. 215-634-8065 is the number to call in. If you are hearing the sound of my voice, I am Andrea Lawful Sanders, and we will be right back after these messages.
Your success doesn't have to wait. It's time for a new year and a new you. And with Community College of Philadelphia, your goals are within reach. Our programs are a direct line to today's most sought-after careers, and you can skip the debt without sacrificing the quality of your education. Choose Community College of Philadelphia this spring semester, and you're choosing an education that you will value for years to come. Classes will be offered online, and all admissions and student support services are available remotely. Don't pay more at another college to earn the same credits from home. Start your success story with Community College of Philadelphia. Join us for a virtual open house on Thursday, November 5th at 6 p.m. To get started, RSVP at ccp.edu/open house. Your success starts at ccp.edu.
Everyone has a different journey to their vote, but we all take the same steps. If you want to vote, register by October 19th. If you want to vote by mail, apply now and mail your ballot back as early as possible, before November 3rd. Or bring it to a satellite election office. If you want to vote in person, go to your polling location on November 3rd. However you want to vote, we'll help you find the way. Visit PhiladelphiaVotes.com.
Always Best Care is a great place to work. Flexibility,
leadership, purpose,
great benefits.
There's never a dull moment.
Diversity, inclusion, compasión.
We love our jobs. If you're looking for a great place to work, you can join our compassionate Team Green. You can apply online at teamgreenabc.com or call 267-909-9248.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
He's back.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton.
In times like these, we have to stay connected.
At a brand new time, Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight.
I'm excited that Keeping It Real returns to WURD.
Keeping it real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. till midnight. This program is pre-recorded. No phone calls, please.
Keep it locked to WURD 96.1 FM, 900 AM.
WURDradio.com.
You're listening to The Source with Andrea Lawful Sanders on WURD Radio. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for remaining with us. I see Sharon Edwards and Vicki Blackburn on. Thank you, guys. Gary, Brian, all the usual folks on social media, on Facebook Live. With the last few minutes that we have left on The Source, I wanted to open up an article that the Supreme Court would allow Pennsylvania to count ballots received up to 3 days after the election, rejecting a Republican plea. Please remember that we have the 4 ballot questions. One was to have the Home Rule Charter set up to change the charter for police department to end the practice of unconstitutional stop and frisk. You can vote yes or no on that. The other one sets up to, if you want to get a victim services, an office of the victim advocate, if you vote yes for that, you'll have someone there that will help you. That will be created, and it will be appointed by the mayor with the advice and consent of city council. The third ballot question is, would we like to have a Citizens Police Oversight Commission and to authorize City Council to determine the composition, powers, and duty of the commission? We already have an advisory commission, but it was created by the mayor, which he could eliminate. With this charter change, the Citizens Oversight Commission, Police Oversight Commission, will be a permanent part of city government. And the fourth ballot question, and for Philadelphia, is should the city borrow $134 million to be spent towards capital purposes as follows: transit, streets, sanitation, municipal buildings, parks, recreations, etc. And so, you have these ballot questions. If you get your ballot in the mail and it does not look right and it doesn't have the ballot questions, take it to one of the 17 locations across the city. Go to votespa.com and look up, ask questions. I'm sure that the location should be there for the city. I'm praying the locations are there. If not, I'll get the locations and I'll share them with you. The other thing that I wanted to discuss with you, black officers break from unions over Trump endorsements. This was written by, let me just make sure that I have this here, NBC 10 Philadelphia, by Claudia Law, and it was published on October 18th, updated yesterday at 6:21 a.m. Police unions nationwide have largely supported President Donald Trump's re-election amid mass demonstrations over police brutality and accusations of systemic racism. But a number of black law enforcement officers are speaking out against these endorsements, saying their concerns over entering the 2020 political fray were ignored. Trump has touted his support from the law enforcement community, which includes endorsements from national, city, and state officers' unions, some of which publicly endorsed a political candidate for the first time. He's running on what he calls a law and order platform and tapping into a strain of anger and frustration felt by law enforcement who believe they're being unfairly accused of racial discrimination. There are more than 8,000 law enforcement agencies in the United States, with large departments holding sway nationally. The number of minority officers in policing has more than doubled in the last 3 decades, but many departments still have a smaller percentage of black and Hispanic officers compared to the percentage of the general population those communities make up. And so, many fraternal black police organizations were formed to advocate for equality within police departments, but also to focus on how law enforcement affects the wider black community. There have often been tensions between minority organizations and larger unions, like in August, when the National Association of Black Law Enforcement Officers issued a letter condemning use of deadly force, police misconduct, and abuse in communities of color. While support for the Republican incumbent does not strictly fall along racial lines, many black officers say the endorsements for Trump doesn't fairly represent all dues-paying members. And so that's one. There was an article that was sent to me this morning of an organization, a large private firm in Florida, who said that encouraged their employees to vote for President Trump, or they would not have a job. Their jobs would not be promised to be kept for them after the election that President Trump lost. The other thing that I'd like to read to you, and I'm keeping track of the time so that Nick Taliaferro can get on time in here, is that the city of Tulsa, this was written by the Black Information Network by Ryan Shepard yesterday. The city of Tulsa has begun excavation at a new site in an effort to find the remains of black victims who were killed in the 1921 Tulsa massacre. This is the city's second effort this year to find the remains of between 150 and 300 people who died during the massacre. In the city's most recent search, excavation crews are focusing on 2 areas in Oak Lawn Cemetery. The first of the 2 sites is called the Original 18. Funeral home records and other documents from 1921 show that at least 18 identified and unidentified African-American massacre victims were buried in the city-owned cemetery, city officials wrote. The second site is named after Tulsa native Clay Eddy. Historians believe Eddy witnessed the burial of massacre victims as a 10-year-old boy. A core sampling and possible test excavation will simultaneously take care of the Clyde Eddy site, also located in the southwest section of the cemetery, city officials explained. The second round of the excavations is expected to last 1 week. If victims are found, they will not be exhumed. Instead, researchers are looking for more information regarding the trauma that victims endured. A lot of the individuals recorded in Oaklawn have a record of gunshot wounds, forensic anthropologist Phoebe Stubblefield said. If they died promptly and were buried without any autopsy, the projectile will still be somewhere in that abdomen, even if it's in just a location where an abdomen would be within a skeleton. The most recent round of excavations comes 6 weeks after a group of Oklahomans filed a lawsuit against the city in search of reparations. 105-year-old Leslie Benningfield Randall, who lived through the riots, is among those who are seeking between $50 and $100 million for damage done to the city's Greenwood district. The infamous 1921 Tulsa riots were triggered by an incident in which a black teenager named Dick Rowland entered an elevator alongside a white elevator operator named Susan Page. During their encounter, Page screamed and Rowland fled the building. Not long afterwards, Rowland was arrested and rumors about what took place in the elevator surged through the city. Hours after his arrest, a mob of white men arrived at the local courthouse and demanded that Rowland be released to them so that he could be lynched. Sheriff Willard McCullough declined. A group of black men arrived in defense of Rowland and chaos ensued. Red Cross estimates that more than 1,200 homes were burned and the city's famed Greenwood district was destroyed. Historians estimate nearly 300 people died. Charges against Rowland were later dropped as police came to the conclusion that he either stumbled or simply stepped on Page's foot. In recent years, shows like Lovecraft Country and Watchmen have attempted to depict the riots. If the city is unable to find any remains at the two sites in question, crews will move to other sites, including New Block Park and Rolling Oaks Memorial Gardens. You know what's so interesting about this article is that this kind of stuff continues to happen today. We still have women who are saying that black men are doing things to them that they never did. We still have people, you know, accusing our children of doing it. So we have to always be mindful. 1921 and 2020, 2 different years, 2 different decades, 2 different times, but we're still in the same place. And so we have to come to the conclusion now that we have to do better and be better about ourselves. Brother Spread Love, where are you? I have literally 1 minute, sir. I have to get off the air on time today. What's up, sir?
God bless you, John. Love, manners, and respect, Mama. How do you guys stay?
I'm good. I'm good. What's up, sir?
We just called for say love, Mama.
Oh, that's all you call for to say love? Love you too.
And we know it's there now? Check it. Selassie, Jah. Rastafari, Empress Menen, Jah live, Mama. So we say love. And 2 more things, Mama. Today I look and give thanks for the I love of Brother Mike Moore. Mike Celestin on the boards, man. Do a great job. Give thanks and more love for the victims, them. Every one of them living how we still. See it? And also we want to say love, WURD. Everyone will really want betterment. See it?
Yes.
All right. Mama, 2 things real quick. 1, Luciana heard strong today. You know Luciana?
Yes, I do know Luciana. Yes.
If you have it, just beg you play Luciana for the people. And also, Mama, man did say earlier, Kamala Harris heard strong today.
Yes, yes, I did talk about that. Yes.
All right. So you know what I said? For she.
Yep.
Because she on the TV and she say like Ross Peter Tosh legalize marijuana. And one more thing to say, Mama. Yesterday I did register for vote on online. See it?
Yes, good. You registered to vote. Well, very good, brother. Show love, spread love.
And check this now. Mama, check this now real quick. I mean for court, but check this real quick. So them ask me which party me for, right? And me choose other.
Yes.
And they want me to write something in. Guess what me write?
What?
Rastafari.
All right.
More
I
love,
know you.
Mama.
See you later, man. Bye-bye. Oh, my God. Brother Spread Love. Help me, Holy Ghost. So listen, we've come to the end of another episode of The Source. Mike Talaferia is up next. And I think this is Evening Word. I have to double check to make sure that I get the name of his show properly so that I can give him the due justice that it is. Thank you all once again for listening, for being a part of the conversation. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.